On a night of utter silence, I strike again. Tonight, I race through the dark once more, shattering the stillness. Moonlight pours down, illuminating a grand official mansion. Alarms blare everywhere as one guard points to the sky. Found you. The other guards spring into action. Catch them. A black shadow drops from above, landing hard on a guard's shoulder. He knocks him to the ground. Raven roars, "Stop, right there." Beneath Claire's many-layered hat, the corner of his mouth curls up. "Haven't you gotten tired of saying that yet? You want me to stop?" He lifts his eyes and falls silent for a moment. Then again, "You're right. No one has ever been able to stop me." They beg so desperately. "Fine, I'll make an exception today." Claire taps the ground lightly with his toe. In an instant, his body vanishes, then abruptly appears in front of the guards. He murmurs softly to himself, "Shall I grant their wish?" Raven lunges forward, but loses his balance. He reaches out, futilely grasping for Claire's golden hair, but catches nothing but empty air. Claire lands fully on the ground, light and graceful as a cat. The police roar in anger. "How dare you toy with the police? Stop right there." He repeats the useless order over and over, looking utterly foolish. But that man is actually innocent. The real criminal is me. Claire recalls the inspector's words. "Fine, just as the inspector said." Raven's face twists in shock. "What?" Claire's memory stings. He once stopped for someone before. He turns around. A bright smile blooms across his face, and he gives a playful wink. "I refuse to make the same mistake twice." Claire turns and runs off lightly. Raven stands frozen, watching him go. Claire's smile fades, replaced by a trace of softness. Well then, Claire's smile freezes in the wind. "Because I'm a phantom thief running away after stealing jewels." Claire's figure darts across the rooftops. One more flight of stairs, and it's the roof. "If I could just get through that door, I can escape immediately." He rushes up the stairs, heading for the rooftop door. Claire suddenly stops short and reaches for the handle, only to find it locked. "Why won't it open? I definitely picked this lock already." So was that man's doing. What did he set this up? What a sly bastard. But no matter how sly you are, I'll get away. Claire opens a virtual screen and taps the inventory icon. He selects a special escape item. But wait, if this really was that man's doing, then could this be a trap? Claire's thoughts are interrupted by a voice. "You were running around so energetically just now. Why do you look like a poison rat now?" Claire turns back in alarm. A man stands outside the door, slowly approaching. "I've been chasing you for 3 years." He extends a hand. A pair of metal handcuffs gleam coldly in the moonlight. "I finally have a chance to introduce myself properly. Raven, Hunter, Inspector of the Special Investigations Division, Eden City Police." Raven speaks. "Since I've introduced myself, you should give your name too." Claire lets out a soft laugh. "Is this a blind date or something?" Raven replies, "Then I have no choice. I'll have to call you this instead. Phantom Thief Crow." Claire's smile vanishes, and his gaze turns cold. Raven speaks calmly. "Surrender. I'll ask the judge for leniency." He takes out the cold handcuffs, which give off a sharp metallic clink. Raven continues, "Be a good girl and get arrested. Then go to prison. After all, that's where all crime ends. Where all crime ends. That's what the inspector believes." Claire looks at him. "If that really were the end, I'd go there alone. But to me, being arrested is more terrifying than death, because I was possessed into this game. One of the worst bad endings. The biggest problem is that once I'm imprisoned, I don't know how it leads to a bad ending, but maybe that kind of ending can't be reversed. If that's the case, then." Claire slams his heel down. A virtual screen appears beneath his feet. Special escape skill activated. He leaps. Like a bolt of black lightning, he shoots straight at the window. Claire crashes through the glass, shards scattering like rain. Better destruction of public property than getting arrested. Raven is stunned. So fast. Was that a surprise attack? He quickly draws his gun and aims at the shattered window. Claire's figure disappears into the night. Raven lowers the gun and whispers in disbelief he got away. He stares out the window. Who exactly is that woman? Claire leaps beneath the moon, tracing an arc through the air. 2 officers look up and cry out. He's flying in the sky. "What are you doing? Catch them." "No, this is the jump boot skill." Claire's body shoots forward like a cannonball, heading straight for the skyscraper opposite. One officer shouts in despair, "Hey, if he falls from here, he'll die." Claire's feet slam hard against the glass wall, shattering the entire pane. Without stopping, he uses the rebound to leap again. Raven and the officers rush to the window, but can only watch helplessly as he gets farther away. Claire's figure gradually disappears into the night. "I did it." This ability is absurd. Raven frowns deeply. "Who are you, really? There's still 1 jewel left. So that pretty face of his doesn't fall apart. I can't steal both. Better finish the mission first." Inventory, air escape use only. I'll use the floating umbrella. A blue plaid umbrella appears out of nowhere. Claire grabs the handle and opens it beneath the moonlight. Holding the umbrella, he drifts upward lightly, smiling brightly. Tonight's Phantom Thief show ends here. There's so many people down there. I am terribly sorry, Inspector. The officers below stare up at the sky. The Phantom Thief is flying. How are we supposed to catch that? Requesting backup. The reason I dare show my face in front of the police is simple. Claire points 2 fingers toward his own eyes. These eyes are meant to remember you clearly. He flies into the distance. Raven watches in silence as he vanishes at the edge of the night sky. Special facial recognition interference activated. No one can recognize your face. Good. The facial recognition disruption works too. If I do this, then everything shiny is mine. Claire flashes a triumphant smile and gives a playful wink. Why hasn't the mission complete prompt appeared? Claire's smile stiffens. He pulls up the system panel. The mission is still in progress. What's going on? Claire's body jerks unexpectedly, and the umbrella slips from his hand. Damn it, he falls from the sky, head first. Raven leans out from the edge of the roof and grabs Claire by the wrist. He caught him. A flash of fierce delight flickers in Raven's eyes. Got you. Claire struggles in midair. Of all times, you had to catch me now. Are you insane? Let go. At the top of the museum statue, Raven clings tightly to Claire's ankle. He hangs suspended in midair. Claire yells angrily. Do you want to die? Let go of me. Raven grits his teeth. I'd rather die than let go. He growls. You'll never escape. Crazy NPCs really aren't afraid of death, damn it. Claire looks down. The jewel is one thing. But if this keeps up, both of us will fall to our deaths. No choice then. Claire pulls up the system interface. The special jump boot skill is still active. His eyes sharpen. This might hurt a little. Claire swings his other foot and kicks Raven hard, striking him right in the head and knocking him away. Pain explodes through Raven's head as his body falls backward. Officers rush forward and catch him. Inspector, are you all right? Claire adjusts his posture in the air and steadies himself with the umbrella. What luck, though that sounds a bit strange to say. He drifts down to the ground, looks at Raven, and says, grabbing a lady by the ankle, not very gentlemanly. Raven covers his face and barely steadies himself. Does a woman who uses an alter ego even count as a lady? Things unfold according to the usual script. Next, this man will say the same words again. Raven raises his head. His cheek is swollen red, but his gaze is still sharp. Next time, I'll definitely catch you. The inspector chasing the Phantom Thief. Claire holds up the umbrella, smiling brightly. Do your best, Mr. Hunter. Don't disgrace your name. The Phantom Thief's missions: evade and escape. That's the rule of this game. Eden City, a game that tried to appeal to every kind of player, winner of Game of the Year. But it was also called Hell City. Claire stands in the neon-lit streets, his high heels clicking lightly against the pavement. The system notification sounds. He turns, the wind lifting his golden hair. Skill: steal the cat's eye gem. Steal the cat's eye from the Eden Faction Museum. Time limit: 1 week. Success condition: use red lipstick to send a warning notice of the illegal acquisition of the cat's eye. Complete the character-specific line and action. Failure penalty: 1 year imprisonment or death. Wow. A trace of determination flashes in Claire's eyes. The system notification sounds. Failure condition: fail to complete within the time limit or be captured. I got possessed into that hell. The clock tower's spire pierces the night sky. A phantom streaks across it like a comet. In Eden City, he is known as Phantom Thief Crow. His real name is Evelyn Steele. At least, that was the original name. A complete mystery. Countless priceless jewels have been stolen by him, yet no one has ever managed to catch this unparalleled genius. Claire's green eyes sweep over the night. Tonight, he returns to a place of sin. His target is the Treasure Casino. He walks through the neon streets, his back disappearing into the depths of an alley. The world remembers only that elegant silhouette, like a breeze passing through the city streets. Even someone as free and mysterious as her. Claire pushes open the front door of his home and mutters tiredly, I'm back. He spreads his arms, happiness shining on his face. Finally home, the blissful hours after work. Claire lets out a long breath. Today was really dangerous. He takes off his coat. How much longer do I have to live like this? Always on edge. Claire looks at the boots on his feet. If it weren't for these spring boots, I would have been caught on the spot. He takes them off. His ankles ache a little. I thought they bruised, but they're fine. Claire lifts his smooth ankle. Not a scratch. Recalling the chase, he thinks, unbelievable. After I jumped through the window, the one chasing me was actually my nemesis. Cold sweat forms on Claire's forehead. Has Raven leveled up too? The difficulty seems to keep rising. That's worrying. Claire's eyes harden with resolve. To stay away from the death ending, I have to level up fast too. In Eden City, players gain skill points when they level up, which can be used to improve their abilities. A blue light flashes. Player Phantom Thief Crow has leveled up. All stats increased. The higher your attributes, the easier the game becomes. Naturally, the odds of a death ending go down as well. Claire's figure collapsing in a pool of blood is a memory he never wants to relive. There are 2 ways to gain level up points. One is by collecting infamy points. Claire looks at the system interface before him. Infamy points, 0-1. Or by buying gem-based paid items. Maybe I can pay by card. A pop-up appears. Please link a card. Claire grabs at his hair. Who remembers their own card number? I always just copied it down. He glances at a notice. It says bank card canceled. Even if I remembered it, it'd be useless. I'm broke anyway. I don't even have living expenses in my account. Before possessing this body, my life was nothing like that of the phantom thief, Evelyn Steele. I was abandoned at an orphanage as a child. After leaving it, I could only scrape by constantly working odd jobs. I saved every penny I could and finally moved out of a half basement into a tiny apartment. It was there that I met my soulmate. One rainy night, I opened the door and saw a tiny kitten shivering. It was carrying a bag of trash in its mouth, trembling as it looked at me. Meow. I looked into the kitten's eyes. You got such a cute little mark near your eye. I never had a pet before, and I could barely feed myself, but I couldn't ignore it. In that cat, I saw myself. We were both born alone. From then on, we depended on each other for life. But maybe happiness was never meant for me. Just 5 years later, on a cold winter day, Ruby went beyond the stars. On one tear-soaked day, I had a dream. I missed you. Ruby was actually a cat with 9 lives. Meow. Ruby waved a tiny paw, and I jolted awake. There was nothing by the bed. In the dream, I reunited with Ruby. He was in a warm, bright place. I knelt in front of him. Ruby, is it really you? Choking with tears, I said, I'm so glad you're somewhere warm, instead of in our cramped little home. I cover my face as tears poured out. I am sorry. I couldn't do more for you. Ruby wagged his tail. What are you talking about? Thanks to the love you gave me, I can now be reborn however I want. I lifted tearful eyes. Reborn? Ruby chirped happily. That's right. One day, Ruby will come back to your side. So until then, don't cry. Ruby will leave you a gift. Next time, you have to find Ruby again, okay? A golden light wrapped around me, and my body became weightless. Claire, Kent jolted awake from a dream. Another dream about Ruby. A few days after Ruby died, this dream began repeating over and over. Claire sat up, unsettled. He pressed a hand to his chest. Could it be because I sleep holding this? Claire opened his palm. Resting there was the necklace. To always stay with Ruby, I turned some of his ashes into a gem. I haven't taken it off once since the day he left. His phone rang. A notification popped up. Master, Ruby's cat tower is broken. Claire cried out, what the? It was the game cat, Master. Because I missed Ruby so much, I started playing this game after the dream. The phone screen shows the game interface. A cat wearing glasses stands beside a broken cat tower. Gem count, 0. Claire droops in discouragement. I'm broke in real life and in games. Katmum, im sorry. Babies, I couldn't protect you. A crisp notification chime rings out, and Claire looks up. The phone screen lights up. A promotional event ad appears. Eden City. Install Eden City. Complete your first mission to receive 30 gems. Claire's eyes light up. If I just complete one mission, I get 30 gems? That's basically half a cat tower for free. I have to do it. Claire stares at the phone. A new game? I only need to finish the first mission, right? His finger taps the install button. It was the beginning of a choice and a turning point in fate. A game introduction appears on the screen. Eden City, a lawless city overrun by crime. Heroes and villains both gather here. Guardians of justice, followers of evil. Choose your side. Claire doesn't hesitate. Do you even have to ask? Obviously, the evil side. They're cooler. The screen displays a character selection, follower of evil. Phantom Thief Crow, Evelyn Steele. If it sparkles, it's mine. Claire looks at the screen. I've seen this jewel-stealing character before. The route should be simpler, but he had never reached a good ending. The phone screen displays all kinds of bad endings. Evelyn's miserable fates, imprisonment, insanity, death. Claire shrugs indifferently. Whatever. I just need to finish the first mission. Evelyn winks from the screen. Pick me. You won't regret it. Claire gazes longingly. Still so cool. If only I could become Evelyn too. His fingertip presses the select button below. Claire stares at the phone. Suddenly, what? A blinding light bursts from the screen. It swallows him whole. Claire opens his eyes. Huh? A system interface appears before him. Mission: steal the villain arena treasure. When his vision clears again, Claire lowers his eyes. What is this? He touches the necklace at his neck. I turned into Evelyn S. Tele. And in the game, 10 years have already passed. Eden City's skyscrapers shimmer in the sunlight. A co-worker greets him. Hello. Another nods. Morning, Miss Kent. Claire répond stiffly. Ah? Good morning, everyone. To survive, I have to maintain the highest level of disguise. A dowdy grandma-style knit cardigan. Thick prescription glasses. Claire adjusts the glasses and walks into the office. He waves cheerfully, forcing a bright smile. Hope everyone has a great day. Outfit 0. Steals disguise mode activated. A thief going to work. It sounds strange, but thieves have to pay rent and sleep too. Though this isn't some mafia pizza shop used for money laundering. The moment one foot steps into the office, a cold voice rings out. Did you submit yesterday's case file, Miss Kent? Claire startles. My other job, thief and office assistant. My workplace, Eden City Police Special Investigations Unit, a place dedicated to catching me. And the person who chases me more obsessively than anyone else, Raven stands before him, his police badge gleaming behind him. He is my archenemy. Claire forces a smile. Of course, I submitted everything. Sir, Raven remains expressionless. He's my boss. A perfect irony. A voice calls out, Miss Kent, did you submit the report for yesterday's case? Claire answers, of course, Inspector. Everything has been turned in. A faint smile touches Raven's lips. Good. He wears a blue uniform, tall and straight, with an imposing presence. Claire feels uneasy. Inspector, is something wrong? Raven says nothing. He just stares at him. Claire's heart tightens. Did he notice something? He lowers his head. If it were the old me, I'd blurt out, sorry, the woman who kicked you in the face with her foot yesterday was me. He almost wants to shout it, but the current me won't. I am grateful I've inherited Evelyn's personality. I'm not the cowardly old me anymore. I've adapted to the confident, bold Evelyn in the game. So even when facing Raven, I can be perfect. Even his impatient expression is handsome. Perfect, that's the only word for it. Of course, I'm fascinated by that handsome face, but his stubborn, sharp personality, the way he chases after me, almost intoxicates me. Raven suddenly speaks. Miss Kent, do you have cat? He points. Your sweater is covered in cat hair. So that's what he was looking at. Claire immediately shakes his head. No, I don't. Claire lets out a breath. False alarm. He explains, I probably got it on me this morning feeding the stray cats. Raven says nothing. I've worked here for 2 years. This is the first time he's asked me such a personal question. Claire takes a sip of coffee. Phantom thief crow. Raven's voice sounds again. Miss Kent. Claire shudders from head to toe. Dear God, is he trying to scare me to death today? Phantom thief crow. Phantom thief, Evelyn Steele's code name. No one knows his real name. That's what the media and the police call him. Like a crow stealing away anything that glitters. Evelyn only steals shiny things. Raven narrows his sharp gaze. Why are you so surprised? I didn't say anything wrong, did I? Claire suddenly coughs violently. Hearing that name out of nowhere, who could handle that? He quickly explains, I wasn't startled. I just choked on my water. Raven frowns. Suddenly choked? Claire replies, right. That's why it's called choking. Anyway, what did you want to ask? Raven turns his gaze toward the window. On the day Phantom Thief Crow left that calling card at the museum, do you remember those witness statements? Officer Smith said he gave them to you, so he wasn't suspecting me. Thank God. Claire answers at once, yes. I typed them up and then filed them in Officer Smith's folder. Is there a problem? Raven's eyes turn cold. 3 original pages are missing. Claire is startled. What? He hurriedly explains, but I definitely filed all of them. Every page. Raven shakes his head. No, the memo had 10 pages in total. Claire panics completely. In no way. Officer Smith definitely put them on my desk. Claire's face turns pale. I swear, when I counted them, there were only 7 pages. Of course, that's because I secretly took the others when no one was around. A lie. Just as Raven said, there really were 10 pages originally. The reason I can lie this shamelessly is because of why I infiltrated this tiger's den. I came here to sabotage the investigation into Phantom Thief Crow, because one of those witness statements was about me. These random missions are the worst. It's impossible not to attract attention. Even so, this place is the most dangerous for me, and also the best place to stop everything from happening. In any case, I burned the page that clearly described me, then burned 2 more pages as decoys. But sabotaging the investigation wasn't easy, all because of one person, this relentlessly persistent bastard. Raven's voice is icy. I checked. Officer Smith confirmed he handed them to you personally. So who exactly is lying? Claire curses inwardly. You paranoid maniac. It's fine. I could just play dumb. Since the file went missing during the handoff, it'll be hard to pin responsibility on anyone. Even if it ends up traced back to me, I can spill coffee on an important file or accidentally tear up the evidence. The real Claire is a complete fool. They'd never suspect me. But strangely, Smith pats Claire on the shoulder. Inspector, maybe you should let her rest for a bit. Raven ignores him, his gaze locked on Claire. Smith says, my detective instincts tell me she isn't lying. Exactly which part is missing? As deputy chief of the Special Investigations Unit, he never lets a single detail slip. Raven makes his decision. I'll send Smith back to the museum to collect the statements again. Collect them again? Claire's heart drops. The accuracy of fresh statements will be much worse. No wonder he's so angry. But there's nothing to be done about it. Raven sighs. Fine, we'll leave it there for now. Smith immediately responds, yes, sir. Claire suddenly speaks up. Sir, there's cat hair on your coat. He peers out from behind Raven. Let me get that for you. He reaches out. Raven whirls around sharply. Their eyes meet. Raven grabs his wrist. Don't touch me. His tone is cold. I'll do it myself. Raven turns and leaves. Watching his back, Claire thinks, what an asshole. Why did I even bother? Smith comforts him. Don't take it to heart. He's just in a bad mood. Last night, he almost caught Phantom Thief Crow, but the thief still got away. And the Crimson Queen's star was stolen too. Claire freezes. The Crimson Queen star? The Crimson Queen star, the fist-sized ruby owned by a foreign royal family. The largest ruby in the world. Priceless. Smith continues. Who else could steal something that valuable except Phantom Thief Crow? Claire screams inwardly. What? I didn't steal that. No, I didn't steal it. The calling card made it perfectly clear. At the charity gala, I would steal the Crimson Queen star. That card was meant to lure away the guards. It was just bait. My real target was the cat's eye gem. Once the exhibition hall was empty, I was supposed to take my true prize. But then Raven suddenly appeared. Got you. I was caught by that stubborn man. Wait, then what about my cat's eye? Did it get buried in the rubble? Claire grabs his head with both hands. No wonder my infamy points didn't increase. I thought the game was just lagging. His body trembles, and he slumps onto the desk. Smith sighs. I get it. Claire, you're sulking. I don't blame you. That gem was borrowed. Now everyone's in chaos. The presidential residence, the foreign ministry, everybody's furious. Meanwhile, the guests at the charity gala are still bragging that they shared a room with that beautiful thief. One woman has thrown half the city into trouble. Claire roars inwardly. But that wasn't me. That was an imposter. I never take missions that cause this kind of collateral damage. That's not my style. And even though I steal jewels, I always return them after clearing the stage. Stealing the Crimson Queen star was never my mission. So who the hell did it? Claire slams a fist heavily onto the desk. The thief escaped last night, but I secured one key piece of evidence. Raven's gaze is intent. Now, I'll analyze it the old-fashioned way. Under a magnifying glass lies cat hair. When I grabbed the thief's ankle last night, this got stuck to my sleeve. Raven recalls the moment of pursuit. That blonde woman somersaulted in midair. He was only one step away. Come to think of it, cat hair was found at other crime scenes too. Maybe the thief has been leaving it behind all along. Does Phantom Thief Crow keep a cat? Or am I just fooling myself? This is a sample from Phantom Thief Crow. In this, Raven picks up another evidence bag. Inside is cat hair from Claire's sweater. To the naked eye, they look exactly the same. Just like the cat hair Crow left behind. Equally multicolored, in varying lengths, all stuck to the same sweater. And the one wearing that sweater, Claire. A cold smile curls at the corner of Raven's mouth. He folds his arms, highly suspicious. He suddenly opens his eyes wide, certainty flashing through them. Target locked, Claire Kent. A clumsy, careless office worker, always making mistakes, losing evidence, forgetting assignments. Claire lowers his head and apologizes. I am sorry. A co-worker shakes his head helplessly. It can't be helped. Raven crosses his arms, looking on coldly. Leaning against the filing cabinet with one hand to his chin, he thinks someone like Kent couldn't possibly be Phantom Thief Crow. After all, she's not the only young woman in the city who has a cat, and she doesn't resemble that sly woman at all. Raven's thoughts pause. Well, I can't be completely sure either. No one knows what Crow looks like, even though Crow shows their face openly at every scene. Evelyn's figure appears, surrounded by a strange glow. For some reason, no one can remember Crow's face. There isn't even a single sketch. He appears in public, yet no one can describe him. He leaves behind only one impression: beautiful. But Miss Kent, she has one thing in common. She's beautiful too. Rumor has it 5 agents have a crush on her. Raven watches Claire's back. She seems completely unaware of it. Raven taps his finger lightly on the desk, his mind returning to that rainy night. I was foolish to suspect her. Someone as flustered as she was couldn't possibly be Crow. I thought she wanted to destroy important evidence, which is why I treated her so coldly. She really did look shocked then. Was I too harsh? Raven strokes his chin, a flicker of regret crossing his eyes. How could I even connect her to that cunning phantom thief? In Eden City, once your criminal infamy is confirmed, you gain points equal to that notoriety. They say Crow showed up again. Don't worry, I'll catch him soon. Because I was falsely blamed for stealing Queen Skagley's jewel, I earned 5,250 points this morning alone. To celebrate, I decided to have an expensive steak for lunch. Claire spears a piece of steak. If rumors spread, do I get points even for thefts I didn't commit? Then wouldn't it be more profitable to let the misunderstanding continue? Though I do feel a little sorry for Queen Skagley. Still, it cost me an entire hour. Claire walks briskly back to the police station. He sees a box on a desk. What's this? Standing before the desk, Claire thinks maybe it's from one of Raven's admirers. He leans closer to the box. If it were from a fan, it would definitely say Raven Hunter on it. He carefully opens the box. Could it be a bomb? Didn't the Mafia send a revenge bomb to the chief's office last year? The office instantly descends into chaos as officers scatter in terror. Claire stays expressionless. Raven figured out last year that it was fake. He wouldn't care. Claire picks up the box. Fine, then I'll take it to Raven. Claire stares at the box for a moment, then suddenly crouches down, clutches his head, and screams, it's going to explode. Officers in the office shout, Miss Kent, what's wrong? Claire shrieks, there's a bomb on my desk. Raven's expression changes instantly. What? So everyone is urgently evacuated, and a bomb squad is called in. After all the commotion, the box turns out to contain canned cat food. Raven looks at him speechlessly. So in Miss Kent's eyes, cat food looks like a bomb? Claire lowers his head in embarrassment. Enough. I'm embarrassed too. He apologizes softly. Sorry. One officer comforts him. This isn't Claire's fault. The person who sent it was the weird one. They didn't even leave a note. Claire picks up one can of cat food. Who sends a gift this randomly? Claire suddenly pauses. Did he just react to something? His gaze sweeps over Raven's back. Claire looks puzzled. Could the person who sent the cat food have meant it for me? No way. Claire shakes his head. I'm such a mess. Who would send me anything? By the way, this is the kind of cat food only rich people can afford. Claire cradles the can, looking blissful. Whoever you are, Angel, thank you. Raven turns and walks away. The door slams shut with enough force to sound like it might break. Claire looks at the door. Such a bad temper. Claire's thoughts drift away. Thanks to that kind Angel, my little ones can have a feast tonight, just like I can. Ruby would have liked it too. Claire's fingers brush his collar and suddenly stop. Ruby's necklace is gone, right? When I became Evelyn Steele in Eden City, something strange happened. My appearance and clothing all changed, but the emerald necklace around my neck stayed the same as before. But after that incident, I lost it. I searched everywhere, but I still couldn't find it. A coworker asks, Claire, why are you sighing? Is it because of the gift? Another coworker throws an arm over his shoulder. Someone secretly sent it to reward your hard work. Just accept it, though the taste is a little questionable. Claire forces a smile. Yeah, sometimes I feel guilty for deceiving these good people. If they found out their kind coworker was actually a villain, how devastated would they be? But if I want to live, I have no choice. What kind of game is this? It doesn't even have save points. Once, out of guilt, I tried returning the jewels I stole. But my infamy points dropped. Infamy points minus 100. Infamy points minus 100. Infamy points minus 100. The points I'd worked so hard to build plummeted. I'll never do that again. It looks like that's impossible before clearing the final mission. Claire silently wails, clutching his hair. This game has 3 kinds of missions. Normal missions have time limits, and the player can choose to accept or refuse them. Hidden missions are secret missions that appear at random and cannot be refused. The final mission appears at the end of the game, and it must be completed to clear it. So there's only one way to fully beat the game and stop being a thief forever. Complete the final mission. Final mission, Steele must complete. Sitting before the screen, Claire thinks, since the other system information also has question marks, this must be a bug. Maybe it unlocks at a certain level. The most important mission has a bug. One tiny overlooked bug could cost me my life. The only good news is that the number of question marks matches the number of letters. Usually, you can guess it from the hints at the start of the game. Steal the forbidden treasure of evil men. What kind of nonsense hint is that? Who would allow villains to steal something? Claire taps his fingers on the desk, pondering this unsolvable problem. Is this just a waste of time? Better level up and make equipment first. Players can craft special items suited to their class. A sharply pointed umbrella Durability 41. High-heeled boots with springs attached. Durability 32. Claire Kent looks at the items. These boots are down to 32 durability. Time to replace them. I should have used them more sparingly yesterday. Since they're advanced items, they require strange and rare materials. The cheapest method is to use repair tools. Repair tools. You do not have repair tools. A prompt appears in the system window in front of Claire. His face goes pale, but I remember still having some. What did I use them all up? Making repair tools isn't easy either. No choice. I'll have to make them myself. What materials do I need this time? 2 thorn feathers from parrot. Not an ordinary parrot, a highly venomous one. It has bright multicolored feathers, but it's deadly poisonous. A rare and expensive bird from the southern tropics. Looks like I'll have to visit the zoo again, or break into some rich man's mansion. Claire looks troubled. A flash of light appears. Hidden mission reward. 2 thorn feathers from parrot. A sudden mission. Claire lights up with joy. Oh, thank you, system. Perfect timing. Come on. Claire opens the mission interface. Mission: break into Raven's room and steal his secret diary. Huh, what kind of balance is this? Kick Raven or get kicked by Raven? What? You should have given me this mission yesterday. I really did kick Raven yesterday. Countdown begins. 9 minutes, 57 seconds. It doesn't even give me time to complain. Wait, maybe I could take a shortcut. A smile appears on Claire's face. Captain Hunter, I'm coming for you. Claire forces a stiff smile, even though my enthusiasm for the mission is sky high. But in the main office, Smith raises a finger. Captain Hunter, he went to the chief's office yesterday to write up the incident report. That's on the top floor of our building. Claire's face turns white. The chief's office is on the top floor. He turns and sprints to the top floor of investigative headquarters. A woman carrying files says, "The captain? He just finished his report in the chief's office. I thought he'd gone back to his office. Didn't you see him?" Claire collapses to the floor. So this time it's from the chief's office back to his own office. Got it. Claire starts running again. Workaholic Inspector Hunter never stops. Claire pants heavily. He's so busy. How many trips is this now? All the elevators are going up. The only way down is the emergency stairs. Claire rushes down the stairs. Captain, at last he spots his target. Raven stops walking and turns around. Gint. Claire looks at Raven's face. He doesn't look happy. Did he get scolded in the chief's office again today? Claire gives a faint smile. Probably because of me. On the day after losing Phantom Thief Crow, Inspector Hunter always gets reprimanded by the chief. It isn't because I always escape. It's because of his rigid investigative philosophy. No firing guns. Even criminals are just thieves, not violent robbers. Yesterday at the museum, if Hunter had shot me, he could have arrested me and gotten rid of pressure from above in one stroke. Medals, praise, a rapid promotion. He could have had it all. But he said you can't fire on someone who poses no threat. So he can't avoid being criticized for his stubbornness. And I'm supposed to go kick a man like that? If an innocent-looking fraud like me did, he'd probably welcome the chance to kick back. The countdown flashes. 4 minutes, 59 seconds. Claire shudders. Time is pressing me. Raven frowns. Miss Kent, what are you looking at? Claire stiffens all over. Raven's gaze sharpens. Where are you hiding from me? Be honest. That bloodhound instinct of his, at a time like this, he's still suspicious of me. There's no other way. Claire clenches his sleeve to clear his suspicion and complete the mission at the same time. I am sorry. Claire lowers his head. This is really the only way I have. Then he suddenly raises it. I like you. Captain, the only option is to confess and get rejected. That phrase can mean a lot of things, can it? Claire touches his lips lightly with his fingertips. How should I say it to make sure I get rejected? Hunter's reaction will be Raven's pupil's contract. His whole body goes rigid. Wow, look at that expression. A sudden confession is obviously strange. After all, Claire and Hunter have never had a personal relationship. To deceive this man, Claire has to explain why he suddenly confessed. Right, the cat food angel. I'll pretend Claire mistook Hunter for that person. The angel who left cat food on my desk today. Claire clasps his hands together. It was you, wasn't it, Captain? I'm misunderstood. I thought you sent me that because you liked me. So before I knew it, I started liking you too. Raven turns his head away awkwardly. That man, stiff as stone, there's no way he'd send it. Raven says, it really was me. Claire feels like he's been struck by lightning. What? Hunter really sent it? No, this isn't how this was supposed to go. The whole plan is ruined. After a moment's thought, Raven says, Miss Kent, first of all, thank you for liking someone like me. Does Kent really like me? Raven looks at Claire. But this is a misunderstanding. So I am being rejected, right? Claire is filled with anticipation. The countdown flashes. 3 minutes, 59 seconds. The countdown flashes. 10 seconds. Hurry and answer. There are only 10 seconds left. Raven's expression is complicated. But that look, mission success. Claire rejoices inwardly. It worked, just as I thought. Even getting rejected counts. Raven says flatly, so I don't think that would be appropriate. After all, we're in a superior-subordinate relationship. The mission is complete, but why is Hunter the one cleaning up the mess? Raven continues, I don't want to lose a diligent subordinate. You understand what I mean, right? Claire nods hurriedly. Yes, of course. Just from the way he talks, you can tell he gets confessed to a lot. Claire lowers his head. Captain, I'm sorry for causing you trouble. I'll go back now. Raven immediately tries to reassure him. You don't need to apologize. Claire turns and leaves. It's a good thing the mission ended safely. But why do I feel so awful? I got rejected without a second thought. Is it just because he's handsome? Ever since I possessed this body, I've never been rejected before. Just you wait, Raven. A new notification pops up. This Friday night, I will steal Mrs. Doris Hunter's emerald necklace. Mrs. Doris Hunter's emerald. The mission difficulty just keeps rising. That was Phantom Thief Crow's notice for tonight. The fog is especially thick tonight. Claire glides through the air under an umbrella. Where exactly is the Hunter mansion? Doris Hunter, the matriarch of the Hunter family, an old and prestigious house full of legal and political talent. So naturally, the Hunter family has deep ties to the police. But she hates socializing with police. Rumor has it that old age has made her bad-tempered, and she has a terrible reputation. Bad-tempered? Claire looks puzzled. Are all people with the surname Hunter like that? Inspector Hunter can't possibly be from that Hunter family, can he? No way. A member of that family wouldn't be running around outside like that. Is that beam of light a searchlight for nighttime surveillance? Claire looks down over the city. The searchlights sweep across the night sky. They turned on the searchlights. Looks like they're waiting for someone to descend from the sky. They don't realize this just makes it a guide for the thief instead. Claire laughs softly. Police navigation. Thanks. He adjusts course and flies toward the beam. Before long, Phantom Thief Crow will arrive. Inside the Hunter mansion, Raven makes a suggestion. If you don't want the police presence to draw too much attention, why not leave the house for tonight? An elderly woman with a full head of silver hair turns around. Oh, Inspector Hunter, I'm not some coward who hides from a petty thief. Mrs. Doris Hunter, then you should go to a party tonight. Enjoy yourself there. You won't need to worry about a thief. You will be acting bravely. Mrs. Doris snorts. I will not leave my house by so much as a step. The ones who should leave are others, those police officers who still haven't found even a trace of the Phantom Thief. Raven insists, even so, we can't withdraw all the officers. That would be the same as letting Phantom Thief Crow roam freely. Mrs. Doris snorts coldly. I said clearly that I do not need the police. Raven counters, then the other victims will be disappointed. Mrs. Doris pauses. Since that incident, she no longer trusts the police. But as a public figure, she has never shirked responsibility. It is her duty and obligation. She cannot easily ignore that request. At last, Mrs. Doris relents. Fine, I'll cooperate. But tonight, my bedroom is off limits. No matter how you look at it, your method is wrong. Raven asks, what do you intend to do? Mrs. Doris picks up a handgun. Same as always. I'll deal with tonight in my own way. Raven breaks out in a cold sweat. Using a gun without self-defense circumstances is a crime. Don't worry. Mrs. Doris raises the handgun. As long as I'm here, there will be no crime. Crime scene entered. Target marker displayed. A figure holding a black umbrella stands at the edge of a tall building, overlooking the city below. Climbing a building this high in foggy weather is basically acrobatics. Claire stands on the rooftop, the hem of his coat fluttering in the wind. He looks troubled. Maybe I should just come back tomorrow. An electronic alert sounds. I only thought it for a second, and a warning popped up. A blue window opens in front of him. The mission must be completed today. Claire's expression darkens. Looks like the system has learned my behavior patterns. After I wrote a forged report last time, it started forcibly restricting the wording and the date. How utterly merciless. Claire leapt from the top of a tall building. His cloak spread open in midair like a blue window, and he descended toward Hunter Tower. Claire landed across from Hunter Tower and folded up his umbrella. Since he was already here, he might as well check his gear before going in. A window popped up. Nanny's umbrella durability, 89. It was already close to breaking. That was exactly why he couldn't give up on the mission. Without the reward, he wouldn't be able to repair his equipment. Today's mission reward, 30 heroic deeds, 3 skill points after 5 completions, and 100,000 infamy points. Being a millionaire in a game really was unfair. 2 guards stood at the entrance of the building. One of them muttered, "An umbrella that can fly? Does that even make sense?" The other chimed in, "Is he a witch? Should he be riding a broom instead? Claire walked over slowly, having heard their gossip. I gave up broomsticks a long time ago. That's beginner gear. I suffered plenty to get these boots. Claire activated a skill. Suction pads attached to the soles of his boots, fastening him to the side of the building. With his body parallel to the ground, he climbed upward at high speed. Walking on a building felt amazing. The item was expensive, but worth every penny. His boots stepped firmly onto the target floor. A system chime rang out. Target floor reached. Claire peered in through the window. Oh, found Hunter. Raven stood in the middle of the room. A blue marker floated above his head. The marker was inside the room guarded by Hunter. The gem had to be hidden there. Hunter really was a useful guide. He would never know it for the rest of his life. Standing outside the window, Claire thought, then let's go into the room with the gem. He raised a hand, and a card appeared out of nowhere. Take out item. You're guarding the door because you think that means I can't get in? Then I'll just use the window. The corner of Claire's lips curled into a faint smile. The rose holy sword could cut even tempered glass. He flipped lightly into the room. Strange. Why was it so quiet? The police wouldn't leave a room empty. Claire looked around, and then a voice came from behind him. You're late. He whirled around, his pupils shrinking. Doris Hunter was seated before a vanity table. She picked up a small box. Old people ought to go to bed early. So next time, I hope you'll come a little sooner. Why was this woman, Doris Hunter, here alone? Claire stared at Madame Doris in shock. She opened the box. You came to steal this, didn't you? Inside, an emerald necklace glittered. A system window popped up. Discovered Doris Hunter's emerald necklace. Claire lowered his gaze. He had thought it was Ruby's necklace, but this wasn't it either. Madame Doris held up the necklace. I'll give this to you. Will you do me a favor? Claire immediately took a step back. You can't give it to me. Madame Doris looked puzzled. What do you mean? Claire explained. The Phantom Thief Crow can only possess things obtained illegally. Accepting a gift is legal. So that won't do. Madame Doris leaned back. Very well. Then I won't stop you from stealing it. In that case, please listen to the story behind this necklace. Claire's green eyes flickered. A story? Was this a trap to stall for time? The clue was outside the door. Raven was standing just beyond it. Even if it was a trap, he could just snatch the necklace and run. He had nothing to lose. Claire spoke. All right, please go on. Madame Doris lifted her wine glass. This is not just an expensive necklace. It is a family heirloom of the Hunter family, passed down to the wife of the eldest son. When my son married, I placed it in my daughter-in-law's hands myself. Claire began to think. You mean your son, James Hunter too? I remember him too. He had been very famous. James Hunter too, once the finest prosecutor in Eden City. He was a brave young prosecutor standing on the front lines against violent crime. A city hero who would stop at nothing to arrest criminals. That was the only mission ever given to him. A mafia boss he prosecuted was sentenced to death. In retaliation, the gang opened fire on the car, carrying him and his family. In that incident, my proud son and daughter-in-law both died. My beloved grandson was kidnapped by those mafia thugs. All the priceless treasures were taken, and only a single shining gem was returned. That is how this necklace came back into my hands. A few days after that happened, the police received a letter from the criminals. If their boss were released, they would return the child. That was only the beginning. The real story began with that failure. Claire's eyes filled with confusion. Why? That was your chance to find your grandson. Madame Doris closed her eyes. If I had done that, my son's final efforts would have been in vain. We made a painful compromise. We paid the criminals. The police set down the ransom case in the dark of night. The plan was to use the ransom as bait, track the criminals, and rescue the child. The signal's gone, call for backup, but they failed to bring the child back. Ever since then, for nearly 20 years, I have searched the entire city, then the entire country. At first, I wanted to find the child alive. Later, even a body would have been enough. And after that, if only I could find proof that he was dead, I thought perhaps I could finally escape this endless hell. For 20 years, she had borne the guilt and grief of losing her family. Claire's eyes shifted slightly. After Ruby left, I could hardly endure even a few days. How much pain has this person lived through? Claire closed his eyes. A flash of pain crossed his face. Besides, if you remember correctly, the media had turned that tragedy into a scandal, calling it the lost heir, disguising sensational articles as sympathy and reporting endlessly on whether he was alive or dead. One person's tragedy had become another's entertainment. And a few months after I came to this world, news spread that the lost heir of the Hunter family had returned. That sudden news gave rise to endless rumors and doubts. There were even rumors that Madame Hunter, desperate with longing for her grandson, had developed dementia. But the firmness in her gaze was enough to silence all gossip. Madame Doris lifted her head. Thank you for listening to such a long story. You may already know most of it, but now we come to the important part. My grandson believes the night incident began because of him, so he is trying to atone. I do not want to place the burden of this family on such a child, and he has no interest in women, nor does he seem the type to marry. This necklace has lost its meaning for him. Madame Doris looked at Claire. But for you, it is different. You came tonight to steal it, and I'm sure you have your reasons. So take it. She pushed the jewelry box toward Claire. Go on, steal it. A blue window opened before Claire's eyes. Steal Doris Hunter's sorrow. Target. Steal Madame Hunter's emerald necklace. Madame Doris closed her eyes. Her voice sounded tired. Take this necklace away. I never want to see it again. So this was what sorrow looked like. Claire's green eyes fixed on her, a trace of haze passing through them. This was the easiest case of my entire career as the Phantom Thief Crow. I only had to snatch the necklace and run. Then everything would be over. There would be no trouble at all. Claire's hand reached toward the jewelry box. The necklace lay there quietly, gleaming with a cold light. If the mission failed, I would lose 100,000 infamy points. That meant I would fall even farther from the ending because of the lost points, and might even be trapped in this game forever. But someone who had lost a necklace filled with memories of Ruby knew exactly what that meant. Because of overwhelming grief, the necklace might now feel more like a curse than a treasure. James Hunter, too, embraced his wife. Madame Doris held a baby in her arms. The whole family looked happy together, but the memories it carried were the most precious thing of all. A treasure no villain was permitted to possess. A treasure no villain was permitted to steal. I once thought that was only a strange play on words. Only now do I understand it was true. This was a treasure a phantom thief like me should never steal. Claire refused the jewelry box Madame Doris offered. His gaze was resolute. Then I hope your son and daughter-in-law rest peacefully in heaven. He pushed the jewelry box back. He closed the lid. What I inherited from the Phantom Thief Crow, Evelyn, was beauty and courage, and also wisdom, pride, and confidence. A flicker of surprise crossed Madame Doris's face. I only inherited the character's traits. That means my inner self is still me. My conscience is still here too. After 10 years as a thief, this was the first time he gave up stealing. A harsh alert rang out. Mission failed. Due to mission failure, infamy points will be deducted by 100,000. In 10 years as a thief, it was the first time he had abandoned a theft. The system alarm sounded. Mission failed. Infamy decreased by 100,000 points. The satisfaction of following his conscience vanished almost immediately. The next day, Claire was full of regret. Tugging at his hair, he groaned, "Why did I have to meddle?" The headline was impossible to miss. A righteous thief appears. A burglar who doesn't steal jewels. Praise poured in from the public, calling him a gentleman thief. His fan club gained 398 members overnight. The Eden City government was put in an awkward position. His infamy hadn't risen at all, only his fame kept growing. I just wanted to steal things and get rich. Now everyone knows me, and I'm still broke, left with nothing but public attention. He gained nothing. This didn't seem like something Doris would leak. Perhaps an investigator had sold the testimony to the press. Cold sweat formed on Claire's forehead. If he wasn't careful, this would become a huge obstacle later. He needed to find a mastermind as soon as possible. His gaze sharpened. Skill activated. The 7 million ear. He could hear every conversation around him clearly. 3 officers were talking at the Hunter estate. Great. They were talking about the Hunter family. One officer said, "I searched every corner of the Hunter estate, but the heir was nowhere to be found." Another officer nodded. Exactly. With that many guards around, yet no one has ever seen him. Could the captain actually be the heir? Claire closed his eyes and listened. This absurd rumor was apparently widespread, even inside the police department. Captain Hunter's full name was Raven Hunter. The heir's name was James Hunter too. They just happened to share the same surname. Claire shook his head. What a pointless conversation. I wasted my skill on this. He had thought this case would become nothing more than another headline. Leather shoes tapped across the floor. The footsteps came nearer and nearer, and the officers instantly fell silent. They turned around. A voice said, "Good afternoon." An unfamiliar man approached with a smile, placing one hand over his chest. Clive Zeiss. I'm from the Central Investigation Bureau. Claire's pupils contracted. The Central Investigation Bureau? Why had they suddenly appeared? Clive smiled. Out of respect for the police department's independent investigative authority, we previously entrusted the Phantom Thief Crow case entirely to you. But from this moment on, the Central Investigation Bureau will conduct a joint investigation with the police department. The Central Investigation Bureau was directly under the central government and handled nationwide cases. On the surface, it maintained friendly relations with local police, but in truth they were rivals. A joint investigation was merely another name for the Central Investigation Bureau stepping in and stealing the local police's credit. Another trial aimed at me. Captain Hunter must be in a terrible mood. The investigation has entered a new stage. Shouldn't we try a new method? Clive proposed to Raven. Raven asked, what method? Clive said, the Central Investigation Bureau proposes profiling, analyzing behavioral patterns to determine the criminal's personality. Claire muttered under his breath. Isn't that already what our police department does? According to my analysis, Phantom Thief, Crow, steals only priceless jewels. He is driven mad by treasures he cannot possess. He never sells stolen goods, which shows that he is wealthy. He has a secure place to hide them. He announces his crimes in advance in order to flaunt his abilities. In short, Phantom Thief Crow is a vain, upper-class rich man. He has a strong need to show off, but extremely low self-esteem. Raven suddenly cut in. Shut your mouth. Claire shrank back. Damn. The meeting room fell into dead silence. Claire abruptly came back to himself. He covered his mouth with both hands. Sorry, I zoned out for a second. Raven glanced aside and let it pass. He ought to have reprimanded his subordinate, but he let it go. Raven lifted his head and looked at Agent Clive Zeiss. I've heard your opinion. I am disappointed. That is not the correct analysis. Clive stiffened. You're saying my analysis is wrong? Based on my repeated encounters. The thief's tone is playful, but his wording and way of speaking are far removed from upper-class society. Clive adjusted his posture. Fine, even if that's true, then Captain Hunter, why do you think Phantom Thief Crow steals jewels? The corner of Raven's lips rose, and a glint flashed through his eyes. Enunciating each word, Raven said, coercion. According to Madame Doris Hunter's testimony, Phantom Thief Crow stubbornly refused a necklace. He was unwilling even to accept it gladly, and he never sells stolen goods. Clearly, jewels are not luxuries to him. They're special offerings that he must steal and present to someone. A kind of compulsion he cannot escape. Raven added, there was another strange detail, the notice about stealing the emerald necklace. Clive frowned. What was wrong with that notice? Raven explained, the crime scene, the object to be stolen, everything matched perfectly. His eyes turned sharp, and that is precisely what is strange about it. A notice lay there quietly, the handwriting clear. This Friday night, I will steal Madame Doris Hunter's emerald necklace. Why would a phantom thief be so straightforward? It only gives the police more clues. Up to this point, Phantom Thief Crow's notices had always been vague or full of deception, but this time it was unusually precise. In other words, someone forced him to write the notice exactly that way. Claire was astonished inside. He investigated that deeply. Impossible. One officer suddenly understood. So there could be a criminal organization behind him. Another officer looked at Raven with admiration. As expected of our captain, Clive slapped the table. Enough. That's enough analysis. Clive had been completely outmatched in reasoning. He coughed awkwardly to cover it up. Let's not dwell on that. That is not the main issue. Phantom Thief Crow has been active for a full 10 years. The number of jewels he has stolen has reached 102. That means complaints from victims and citizens have increased accordingly. Raven narrowed his eyes. There was nothing wrong with that deduction. So this time, they were planning to pick a fight over methods of arrest. Clive raised his voice. It's time to consider more aggressive measures. Raven looked at him. Are you proposing authorization for firearms? Clive shrugged lightly. After all, we do have non-lethal rounds. Raven's expression darkened. The suspect flies through the air using an umbrella. If a bullet hits him and causes him to fall from a great height. Everyone imagine the scene of the fall. The meeting room went silent as a grave. Raven's voice turned icy. Can you still guarantee that would be non-lethal? Clive stood up. Perhaps not, but we can't keep letting a criminal roam free forever. You're usually the most rigid one here, but today you're being particularly troublesome. I know you're frustrated because you can't catch him, but to suggest using lethal force. Raven replied, I oppose the use of firearms in nonviolent crimes because of my own convictions. I believe some criminals in this world can still be redeemed. According to Madame Doris Hunter's testimony, Phantom Thief Crow is one of them. Yes, in the end he said this to me. Madame Doris spoke. He said, this is a treasure that a monster like me does not deserve to possess. She recalled Claire's words. When the wounds between your grandson and his grandmother have healed, please give this necklace to them yourself, with a smile. May your son and daughter-in-law rest peacefully in heaven. Madame Doris recounted. Those were the words he said to me. Raven fell into thought. This really was a series of strange events. The more he considered Madame Doris's testimony, the stranger it seemed. That had not been persuasion or pleading, just a sorrowful story that moved him. Raven recalled the moment of the fall. Claire had been dropping through the air. He thought carefully. At the time, he could have let me fall, but Claire had instead lunged back toward the room, leaving himself alone to face the risk of falling. Raven looked thoughtful. Perhaps that thief was softer-hearted than he appeared. His palm twitched. Wait, soft-hearted. Raven suddenly covered his mouth. I see. A bolt of insight flashed through his mind. That's it. The method to catch Phantom Thief Crow. A look of certainty shone in his eyes, and a smile curved his lips. A few days after the joint investigation meeting ended, the investigation into Phantom Thief Crow had produced nothing. But a new theory had emerged like a sudden hero and had become the hottest topic among Eden City's upper class. Clive and the others claimed that Phantom Thief Crow's true identity was a member of high society. Sitting at his desk, Claire skillfully sorted the papers in his hands. Ridiculous. Are they really pushing that theory? Well, that actually works in my favor. Claire narrowed his eyes behind his glasses. Since that conclusion is the complete opposite of me, I'm not even worried about Zeiss's theory spreading. The problem wasn't Zeiss. It was another noise that made him uneasy. Kent, no, Hunter's precise deductions had struck his situation perfectly. Claire shuddered all over. He actually said out loud what was in my head. It's as if he planted a wiretap in my brain. In this situation, the best thing would be to keep a low profile. But I can't because I've already accepted a mission. I can't refuse a mission. A window floated in the air. Steal the curse of the hopeless family. Target, steal the ruby sleeping in the hopeless mansion. Claire looked out the window. The reason headquarters was empty today was because everyone had seen my notice and rushed to the scene. The time Crow announced was almost here. Claire looked at the radio on the desk. It should be about time. Suddenly, the phone rang. Claire sat bolt upright. Speak of the devil. He picked up the receiver. Yes. This is Claire from the Eden City Police Department Special Investigations Unit. A police officer's voice came from the receiver. Claire, it's me. I forgot some important equipment at the scene. Could you bring it over for me? Holding the phone in one hand, Claire picked up a large black bag with the other. Of course. What do you need? You're a lifesaver. The black bag on my desk. No problem. A sly glint flashed in Claire's eyes. Even if you hadn't said so, I'd know which one. Because that black bag was something I had prepared to create an alibi. I was always careful. This way, the police department wouldn't be able to trace my movements, and I wouldn't have to enter through the front door. Humming, Claire walked down the street with light steps. Suddenly, he stopped. A furious shout rang out. You little bastards! Stay away from my babies! Claire looked ahead. An old woman was pointing at the police. What was this commotion? A kitten meowed as a man grabbed it roughly. This is for their own good. Damn old hag. You don't know anything. The man threw the cat into a cage. Claire's face darkened. That was animal abuse. And you can't treat an elder like that either. Even though she looked like just another talkative old lady. Besides Evelyn, there was another villain in this game. This person. She was known as the cat-loving granny of the city, a notorious criminal in Eden City whose adorable title did not suit her at all. Right after I transmigrated here, she had her eye on me, so I kept avoiding every elderly woman carrying cats. But I quickly discovered that lots of people had cats around them. Oh, you pretty little thing. She gently stroked a cat, and the cats purred in satisfaction. Eden City was practically paradise for cat-loving ladies. I used to feel guilty for suspecting them. The old woman roared. If it weren't for that damned ruby, the police waved their capture nets. This is our duty too. Please assist. Claire stepped in front of the old woman. Hey, what are you doing? As an officer of Eden City, I can't just stand by. The officer looked troubled. Please don't misunderstand. We're simply taking appropriate action. We're helping these cats escape from that poor old woman and finding the better owners. Claire stared at him. Better owners? He clenched his fist. You're not better owners. You're just lunatics. Memories came back to him. A cat had rubbed its face against his. I may not have been wealthy, but they were happy living with me. Who gets to decide what a good owner is? Look at these cats. Do they look unhappy to you? Especially the Persian cat in the old woman's arms. Its fur was so smooth. The others' coats were glossy too. That showed the old woman had taken good care of them. The officers looked at each other and were left speechless. Claire stepped closer. But if you take them away from her and send them to a shelter, can you guarantee they'll be as happy there as they are now? The officers fell silent. Claire's gaze turned cold. Of course you can't. For cats, this city's shelters are hardly any different from hell. Cats dying in cages is a common thing there. That's why the old woman doesn't want them taken away. A kitten trapped in a net let out a shrill cry. From the attitude of these workers alone, it was obvious what kind of treatment the cats would receive there. And one more thing, when dealing with owned animals, procedure requires either the owner's consent or a government administrative order. Did you follow that? Claire glared at the officers. Return the cats to the old woman immediately and be gentle. Treat them like princesses. The officers hurriedly nodded. Why, yes, ma'am. They carefully handed the cats back to the old woman. Claire gave a small snort. A bunch of unreasonable people. Good thing I ran into them. Cradling the cats, the old woman approached. She looked at Claire gratefully. Thank you, young lady. What is your name? Claire smiled. My name is Claire Kent. I work at the police department. The little ones must have been terrified. He held out a bag of jerky. If you don't mind, please let them have some of this. The old woman took the jerky, her eyes widening in surprise. I made it myself with premium chicken breast and anchovies. Don't worry, a system chime rang out. You have been targeted by a pursuer. Claire looked baffled. What pursuer? Why did that notification suddenly pop up? The mission was about to begin. Claire suddenly came to his senses. Damn, I'm almost late. He hurriedly turned to leave. Then I'll be going first. That's the end of my good deed for today. Hopefully today's evil deed goes just as smoothly. The old woman watched Claire leave, her eyes sharp. Looks like I found a right place. The system notification appeared again. You have entered the crime scene. The crowd shoved and jostled outside the hopeless mansion. Reporters shouted loudly, "Make way! Police! Let us through!" Claire arrived, panting. It was a mansion located in the wealthiest district of the city. The land price alone must be unimaginable. This mansion had remained untouched all this time only because it belonged to the cursed hopeless family. The source of the curse was a 100-carat ruby. Every person who had ever owned it met a miserable end, earning it the infamous name of the blood diamond. Claire's target was this cursed diamond. He walked into the hopeless mansion. An officer came up to him. "Claire, Miss Kent." Claire raised the black bag in his hand. "I brought the equipment you wanted." A bright smile spread across his face. The officer sighed in relief. "Claire, you're a lifesaver. Because I forgot this bag, the chief gave me an earful. Is that so? I'm the one who made him forget it. I made sure he got scolded, so he'd think the bag was important. I'm curious what's inside that made it worth bringing all the way here. Asking too many questions would only arouse suspicion." "Thanks, Claire." Claire moved toward an empty corner. It should be safe here. There wasn't a single person nearby. Good. Preparations complete. Claire tapped with his fingertip. Wide area effect activated. Facial recognition interference. A dazzling flash burst out. Claire's brown hair turned blonde. Phantom Thief Crow had appeared. Then let the operation begin. All right, everything's ready. Wide area effect activated. Facial recognition interference. Operation start. Claire opened his inventory. Spring boots. Bulletproof vest. He had wanted to save the defensive gear for the last moment, but there were armed personnel on site. If things truly got out of hand, they might actually open fire. Claire observed the guards. None of them noticed a thing. Hunter wasn't here today. He was probably dealing with matters outside. A perfect opportunity. Judging from the marker's position, the diamond had to be hidden deep inside the banquet hall. Skill activated. Duration, 10 minutes. While the skill is active, investigators lose focus and begin wandering around aimlessly. The bodies of the three guards jolted slightly, and their eyes instantly grew vacant. One of them said, "I need to make a call." Another turned around too. "Oh, I have to use the restroom." Claire seized the chance and rushed for the door. This move worked well, but it had one fatal flaw. As long as even one person noticed something strange, everyone would be alerted at once. Just like the last time Hunter caught him. Claire's hand touched the doorknob. His heartbeat quickened. "I can't fail again." Raven's voice was icy. "What are you doing here? Abandoning your posts during an investigation?" He saw through my skill at a glance. Incredible. Claire pushed open the door and hurried down the stairs. I used to think he was just an NPC who chased me, but now I'm sure it's not just about reputation or levels. Still, as long as I don't get caught, it's fine. There were 4 officers in the basement, plus 1 civilian. While eavesdropping on the secret meeting, I had obtained this $7 million piece of intelligence. I was confident I could handle any civilian, so I headed for the basement. Footsteps sounded. A red-haired man walked toward Claire. An unexpected situation had appeared. The red-haired man's cheeks were flushed pink. He held out a red gift box with both hands, and set into it was a huge blue gem. My cruel beloved. Wasn't that the head of the Hopeless family? Why was he walking toward me? Claire looked stunned. Hopeless gazed at him passionately. "You stole my heart long ago, and now you've returned to claim this ring as well." Claire was dumbfounded. When did I ever do that? Tears shimmered in Hopeless' eyes. Why did he look like that? Hopeless opened the box. A ring lay inside. He said earnestly, "Please accept this ring, Lady Thief, and marry me as compensation for stealing my heart." Claire took a step back in shock. What is going on? It turned out I had a fan club. They even made pilgrimages to my crime scenes. Sometimes the target of my mission would be one of my crazed fans. They would eagerly hope I would appear and then steal their things. Hopeless dropped to his knees and clutched tightly at Claire's cloak. Who would have thought the head of the Hopeless family was a rabid fan? He had even prepared a wedding ring and waited for me to come steal it. Claire struggled desperately. "Let go of me." Hopeless hugged him stubbornly. "You wicked thing. Do you know how long I've waited?" His cheeks were burning red, but his eyes were strangely resolute. "I'm going to punish you. Marry me." Claire gently raised him with one hand, smiling, though there was no warmth in his voice. "Would you like some bread?" Claire roared. "Jailer bread." He threw a punch. Combats qu'il activated 50. Hopeless cried out and was sent flying. The ring slipped from his hand. Claire's cheeks flushed hot. "I just wanted to steal some jewelry, but the whole plan has been ruined." Claire clenched his fists. "I have to find a way to shake him off." Covering his mouth, Hopeless looked overjoyed. "Lady Thief accepted my proposal." Claire shouted. "I did not, because of Hopeless' absurd marriage proposal farce. My plan to slip away quietly failed completely. I had thought that if the Hopeless family, desperate to break the family curse, cooperated with me, I could escape smoothly." Hopeless' face was red all over. He gripped the jeweled ring, his eyes full of anticipation. But now, I had become the one being chased by Hopeless instead. Claire ran up the stairs at full speed. Hopeless pursued him relentlessly. "Don't go, my new Cinderella." The guards cried out, "It's Phantom Thief Crow. Catch him." Claire's expression turned grave. Things had become very complicated. The escape route on the first floor was completely blocked. The only option was to keep going up. Spring boots, skill activated, 80. Claire leapt into the air, his body tracing an arc as he sailed over the stunned crowd. The guards looked up in amazement. He jumped that high. How are we supposed to catch him? Even Hopeless was stopped by the guards. He stretched out a hand helplessly as he watched Claire disappear. Excessive use is reducing item durability. Spring boots, durability minus 20. My precious item durability. Durability minus 20 again. And another minus 20. Guards shouted from below. "He's escaping by the stairs. Stop him." Claire kept running upward. There was a perfect window for escape. Someone must have opened it for air. "Whatever, thanks." The guards chased after him. "Stop." Claire looked back. "Damn, at this speed, they'll catch me. They're already here." Claire sighed. "I really didn't want to use this." Claire tapped the system screen. It read, "If they step on the mousetraps, they're done for." The guard cried out, "What is this? Why are there so many mousetraps?" Claire's voice drifted back. "Don't step on them." One guard screamed, I triggered a trap. Where did these mousetraps come from?" Claire sneered. "I told you to listen to me." He had safely escaped. The soles of his shoes were clean. Now there was only one final step left. "Everything that sparkles belongs to me." A hand suddenly grabbed his wrist. Raven had appeared at some point and seized him tightly. "Finally caught you, Phantom Thief Crow." Claire froze. "Officer Hunter, were you hiding here the whole time?" A so-called evil organization that dreamed of building a world ruled by the top 1%, with the rest of humanity reduced to slaves. The Global Free Democracy Abolition Committee, abbreviated as GFDAC. A short-haired old woman with silver-white hair covered the corner of her mouth. To be trapped by the favor one bestowed oneself. How truly foolish. She lounged lazily against the back of her chair. The leader of GFDAC was an old woman obsessed with cats. A holographic projection appeared, and the newsreader's voice rang out. "Police have still not captured Phantom Thief Crow. There are rumors they have already reached an agreement with the thief." The announcer wore a strange expression. Some even speculate that the police have long known the thief's true identity. The old woman slammed her fist down on the table. "Idiots! The police have no idea who Phantom Thief Crow is." The projection abruptly cut off. Only a cold line of text remained on the screen. Broadcast interrupted by outside interference. If they knew his identity, they could never remain this calm. It would be the police's greatest disgrace. Claire and Evelyn appeared in the image. "His name is Claire Kent, from a police department. He is Phantom Thief Crow. Finally caught you, Phantom Thief Crow. Now reveal your true face." A hand suddenly seized Claire's arm. Raven emerged from the shadows and pinned him firmly in place. Claire glanced sideways at Raven and gave a scornful smile. "So many people want to put handcuffs on me today. If you want to turn, get in line, Mr. Hunter. You go after that useless guy." Raven's voice was icy. "Don't worry, this will be the last piece of metal ever to lock your hands. You're under arrest for diamond theft. Caught red-handed." Claire clenched his fists. "Arrest me? You think I'll surrender without a fight?" He flipped his wrist, and an umbrella handle appeared in his palm out of nowhere. Item in hand. Raven stared in shock. "How did you suddenly pull out an umbrella?" Claire opened the umbrella to block Raven's line of sight, then turned and headed for the moonlit balcony. He looked back with a smile. "You want to know where I hid it? Sorry, that's a secret." Raven grabbed hold of the umbrella. Raven gritted his teeth, his gaze sharp. I told you, no matter what, I will catch you. Claire was yanked back and cried out, let go. You can't grip it that tightly. A prompt sounded. Durability 20. Durability 20. Durability 20. You're using up my item's durability. Raven remained expressionless. If you surrender quietly, I'll let go. A crisp metallic sound rang out. Claire froze. What was that sound? He looked down. A pistol was aimed at him. The pursuer's gunshots split the night. No, Raven realized something was wrong and immediately threw himself in front of Claire. Impossible, he saved me. The bullet struck Raven's arm. Clutching his arm, Raven lost his balance and fell from the rooftop. Hunter, Claire shouted and instantly lunged after him. Claire grabbed Raven's hand. Raven shouted, let go. At this rate, we'll both fall. Claire held on with all his strength. Hang on. A system chime rang out. Strength skill activated 70. There ought to be a limit to how far you take this act of playing the people's policeman. Why would you risk your life for a thief? If the pursuer had fired just now, he could have caught me easily. He could have earned promotion and glory. But he gave all of that up and even risked his life. What a foolish man. Claire turned and saw Clive pointing a gun at them. He shouted at Clive, don't just stand there. Come help. Clive raised the handgun, its barrel coldly aimed at the two on the roof. A trace of resolve flashed through Claire's eyes. He twisted his head toward Clive and snarled, if you shoot, Hunter dies too. The pursuer's finger rested on the trigger without moving. He had recovered his senses. Now all that remained was to slowly pull Officer Hunter back up. A system prompt rang out. Strength activation level insufficient. Unable to pull up target. Impossible. Too much durability had been used up during the escape. Claire's arm began to shake. Damn, I can't hold on. His hand slipped and Raven fell from his fingertips. Into the abyss. Hunter, Claire shouted, summoning the butlers. Umbrella. Claire jumped down after him and caught Raven in midair. Please hold out. At least slow our fall. A system chime rang out. Durability 0. There was no chance left. Claire clutched Raven tightly as they plummeted downward. It must be because of Hunter that the umbrella broke. What'd I do now? Raven suddenly wrapped his arms around Claire. Wait, he's awake? How? The two of them dropped rapidly. Claire steeled himself for certain death and shut his eyes in fear. Then he opened them and found himself completely unharmed. Beneath him was a soft air cushion. An air cushion? What on earth happened? His wrist suddenly turned cold. A pair of handcuffs locked around it. Raven looked down at him, then, a smile curling his lips. Caught you. I was captured by Hunter. The system prompt rang out coldly. Mission failed. Infamy minus 300,000. All active skills suspended. Police officers quickly closed in, surrounding the air cushion. The system notification appeared again. You have been arrested. Claire gritted his teeth. No. A system prompt rang out. Master of disguise and facial recognition interference effects have ended. Raven's pupils contracted. He stared at the woman before him. You're Claire Kent. Claire's disguise vanished, revealing his true appearance. It was Evelyn's face. Raven recognized him. Evelyn Steele, the legendary phantom thief. The two sat on the air cushion. Raven held the handcuffs as the system prompt rang again. Entering bad, ending route. Raven's pupils shrank. He stared at the person before him. You're Claire Kent. Claire looked at him in shock. Their gazes crossed. No, is it really going to end like this? A system alarm rang out. Entering bad, ending route. GFDC, an evil organization that sacrificed the many for the benefit of the few. We had always tried to uncover Phantom Thief Crow's true face. We believed he was like us, someone who yearned for the heart of Queen Scarlet. So a few days ago, we successfully stole the Queen's heart and planned to pin the crime on Phantom Thief Crow. But this was a fake. When did Phantom Thief Crow switch it? Just as I was seething over losing the Queen's heart, the scout cats returned with something strange in their mouths. Jerky? It looked homemade, not store-bought. My little rascals, where did you get this? The scout cat looked up and meowed. It conveyed its message back at the museum. A woman with an umbrella gave it to us. A woman with an umbrella. It had to be Phantom Thief Crow. Doyle pressed on. What did the woman look like? The scout cat and its companions rolled around in the grass. Then it sent another message. I don't remember her face, but I think she was very pretty. Doyle irritably scratched at her hair. Useless thing. At the time, I thought it was worthless information. I never imagined I would receive the exact same thing again from the same woman. In the memory, Claire said to Doyle, the little ones must have been scared. If you don't mind, please accept these snacks for them. He handed over a bag of jerky, smiling as he explained, don't worry. It's made with premium chicken breast and anchovies. If not for the jerky he carried, I never would have discovered Phantom Thief Crow's identity. The The heart of Queen Scarlet glittered brilliantly. Now that Phantom Thief Crow had been arrested by the police, it was time to reclaim the heart of Queen Scarlet that we had nearly lost. A man seated at the meeting table asked, "So Phantom Thief Crow has finally been caught? Then where is Claire Kent now?" Doyle answered, "He's being held in the underground detention center at police headquarters." The man continued, "Have you found the heart of Queen Scarlet?" Claire Kent had continued to play dumb, claiming he had never seen it. The police had searched his house, but found nothing. We must act before they do. Once the ruby falls into police hands, it will be even harder to get back. That's right. First we get Claire Kent out. The rest proceed according to the original plan. Everyone responded in unison. Understood. Boss, forward Dax's conquest of the world. News of Phantom Thief Crow's arrest was hard to believe. Some suspected the investigation results had been fabricated. The police released the confiscated evidence, including a red diamond ring from the Hopeless family, a pair of ordinary brown boots, a rose-pattern knife, and Phantom Thief Crow's trademark, that mysterious flying umbrella. These items dispelled public doubts about the legality of the arrest, but the police still had not revealed the criminal's identity. Even after being caught, Phantom Thief Crow's true identity remained a mystery. Outside the police headquarters, the sunlight was glaring. A hand picked up a mug and thumped it heavily onto the desk. "Looks like you won this time." Raven responded coldly. "Watch your wording next time." "I always win." Clive gave a contemptuous smile. "Really? If you knew his true face, I doubt you'd still sound so confident." The clue had come from the wager between him and Raven. Raven would drive the criminal to the rooftop. Clive would intervene and fire a blank. Raven would pretend to be hit and act as though he were protecting the criminal, then fall from the rooftop. If Phantom Thief Crow tried to save him, he would be captured Raven's way. If he abandoned him and ran, he would be captured Clive's way. The fewer people who know a secret, the safer it is. That was the betting operation, a plan known only to a handful of people. The newspaper headline read, "Master Detective Captain Hunter ends Phantom Thief Crow's long career of theft." It wasn't me who caught Phantom Thief Crow. It was the compassion in his heart that caught him. Clive asked, "Come to think of it, I'm honestly surprised you trusted me. If I had switched the blank for a real bullet and then pretended it was an accident, what would you do?" Raven said, "You may be a little slow, but I believe you're not stupid enough to kill me in front of everyone." Clive let out a scornful laugh. "Huh. In any case, I had no room to interfere." That day, Phantom Thief Crow did not surrender quietly. There, Phantom Thief Crow was captured. Police cars and the crowd surrounded the narrow area. A pair of handcuffs locked around Claire's wrists. "You can't take me away," Claire shouted, raising a prop knife in his hand. Raven grabbed his wrist and pinned him onto the air cushion. Claire roared, "I have a knife." "You're really reckless." The corner of Raven's lips curled up. "In a situation like this, you're still worried about me?" Claire struggled. "Let me go." Raven ordered, "Quiet. Surrender." Clive watched from the side. The scene was so strange. Just hearing their voices made him blush. It felt like he was secretly watching a couple quarrel. Raven's face was dark, and Clive raised his cup jokingly. "Relax." One officer joked about the investigation. Even though everyone had clearly lost the bet, they were acting like winners. There was only one reason. That was the fact that my subordinate was a criminal. So he was Phantom Thief Crow. Unbelievable. A wanted criminal had actually been working in the police station and even in the task force for his own case. The police department was disgraced for having been infiltrated by a criminal. The Central Investigation Bureau considered the whole situation pathetic. Then a superior walked into the conference room. Had he been waiting long? This arrest was not a glorious victory for Captain Raven Hunter. It was the story of how he would clean up this mess. "Captain Raven Hunter, we have a lot to discuss. This was a fall brought on by negligence. It was time to live on in evil. System messages kept popping up. The secret family thinks highly of you. Complacency has set its sights on you. Your fan club vows unwavering support." Claire sat on the cold floor. He wrapped his arms around himself. "Caterpillars have to eat pine needles. Criminals have to live like criminals. A villain like me actually thought I could live a peaceful life. The system must be angry." The only comfort was, I had only entered the bad ending route. Nothing was set in stone yet. There had to be a way to escape this ending. Claire clutched his head and wildly clawed at his hair. "Why is it so deathly silent? Answer me, system. How am I supposed to find a way out on my own? What do I do?" The buttons wouldn't respond. Then came the sound of the cell door opening. Claire whipped around in terror. "You scared me to death. Don't you know how to knock?" Raven stood in the doorway. "What kind of police officer knocks for a criminal? Since you refuse to tell me your real name, I'll have to call you this." Raven raised a file folder. Claire's body stiffened. "Miss Claire Kent," Raven declared, "the interrogation begins now." Claire's green eyes suddenly narrowed. His name had been spoken. "Claire, Miss Kent. Raven held the file, his expression cold. The interrogation begins now. But the interrogation did not go smoothly as planned. A file lay on the table. Case codename, Thief Confidential File. Raven opened the dossier. Claire sat across from him, silently waiting. Claire had been quiet in custody, but once the interrogation started, he became completely uncooperative. Raven's gaze sharpened. As expected, he won't be easy to deal with, but there's always a way to make him talk. Raven began to ask, "Are you feeling unwell anywhere?" Without opening his eyes, Claire replied, "This isn't my home. I'll just have to endure it." Raven said, "The holding cell is for detaining suspects, not abusing them. If anything is bothering you, tell me at any time." Claire's green eyes flickered slightly. "Oh, really?" He began to complain. "First of all, the mattress is too thin and too hard. My back hurts, so please give me a new bed." Raven's eyebrow twitched. His expression froze. Raven thought to himself, "This woman is impossible, but I have to find a way to win him over." In his memory, his superior's order echoed, "Your identity can remain secret, but your mistake cannot." His superior slapped the desk. "If you recover that damned ruby, the higher-ups and I will let this blunder go." His superior's face was stern. "Pull yourself together and finish the arrest properly." Raven looked straight at her. "Miss Claire Kent, the degree of leniency you receive depends on your level of cooperation. You may even get to go home sooner than you think." Claire's body froze, his pupils contracting, as if the words had struck a vital spot. "I can go home?" A glimmer lit up in Claire's eyes. He imagined himself hugging his beloved cats. "My babies must be starving. If I can just get out of here, I'll do anything." Claire abruptly slammed the table and stood up. "Fine, I'll cooperate. The Star of the Red Queen. That's what you want, right?" Raven said nothing and only looked at him quietly. Claire's tone was firm. "I've said this until my throat went dry, but I did not steal the heart of the Red Queen." Raven tugged at his tie. "Here we go again. Don't you get tired of lying?" Claire stamped his foot angrily. "He doesn't believe me at all. I'm telling the truth." Claire braced both hands on the table. "I want to cooperate too. Ask me something I can actually answer." His cheeks reddened. This time it really wasn't me. Raven's voice turned icy. "Then tell me where all the jewels you stole are. If we recover them, your sentence can be reduced." He opened the dossier and pointed at one of the files. Raven pressed on. "But they weren't in your apartment. What did you hide them? Return everything, and your sentence will be greatly reduced." Claire's gaze flickered. "If my sentence can be reduced, then maybe." He asked tentatively, "Could I get probation?" "I brought the jewels and hid them on me. Once the time is right, I'll naturally return them. But if probation is impossible, then I can't cooperate." Raven narrowed his eyes. "So you stole them in order to return them? Then why are you so desperate for probation?" Claire fell silent for a moment. "I can't tell him. No, even if I did, it would be useless. He'd never believe me. This is all because of that damn system. If I return the stolen jewels, my infamy will decrease, and Phantom Thief Crow's skills will reset. I'm trapped inside a bug-ridden game. Without skills, how can I avoid the bad ending?" The system chime rang out. "Once you lose your skills, you cannot avoid the bad ending. If that happens, I won't just disappear from Eden City. I will vanish completely from my original world too. From the very beginning, I had no allies here, and I never will. So I can't tell Hunter anything." Claire's gaze turned resolute, his fists clenching under the table. Raven noticed the change in him. "Why have you suddenly gone quiet again?" He pressed a hand to his forehead and let out a long sigh. "If you refuse to answer, does that mean you have no intention of cooperating?" "If I could, I would cooperate too." Claire clasped his hands together, the knuckles turning white. His eyes dropped to the file. "The Star of the Red Queen. Wait, I've seen that phrase before." Claire's pupils widened. He remembered something. The system's mission interface appeared before his eyes. The wording matched exactly. Claire's thoughts raced. The mission was to steal the Star of the Red Queen, but the gem was never stolen. If I were the one who stole it, the system should already have rewarded me. Something's wrong. There's only one possibility. Claire's gaze swept over the mission screen, and he noticed a detail he had overlooked. The mission to steal the Star of the Red Queen had never appeared as a regular mission. I should have found that strange sooner. If my guess is right, then the Star of the Red Queen must be the final mission. That's it. Claire shot to his feet, his face full of realization. Raven was startled by the sudden movement. "What now? If I'd just stolen it myself earlier." Claire groaned and smacked his forehead. "Then this would all be over." "Wait, no." Claire's eyes changed. "I think I know who stole it. It must be the person I saw that day." A memory flashed back. Claire glimpsed someone at the corner of the corridor. For now it's only a hunch, Claire thought. But the person who can turn a hunch into evidence is standing right in front of me. A slight curve appeared on Claire's lips. "Officer Hunter, let's make a deal." Raven crossed his arms and waited expressionlessly for him to continue. Claire smiled as he spoke. I'll tell you who stole the Star of the Red Queen. In exchange, once you catch them, you let me go." Raven's pupils contracted sharply. His expression froze at once. "You want to make a deal with me?" Raven struggled inwardly. "I never accept proposals from criminals. But right now, the criminal's identity is what matters most." Tapping his fingers lightly against the dossier, Raven decided to compromise. "I'll consider your proposal for now. So who is the culprit?" Claire's gaze turned meaningful. "You know him too, officer. A wealthy man." Raven straightened slightly. "A wealthy man?" "The sponsor of the museum exhibition." A man's face appeared in Raven's mind. One of Eden City's famous tycoons. Impossible. Raven objected. The museum theft caused enormous insurance losses. His company was the biggest victim. Raven demanded, why would he cut off his own source of profit? Claire lowered his eyes slightly. "But after everything I've gone through in prison these past few days, I kept thinking it over. There's only one answer, because I saw it with my own eyes. Right there, on the very day the Star of the Red Queen disappeared. At first, I didn't believe it either, but I saw it myself. Moonlight spilled across the Grand Dome. On the day the Star of the Red Queen was stolen, it happened there. That day I was disguised as a staff member. As I passed the corridor outside the curator's office, I saw Mr. Fell staring at the heart of the Red Queen. Just then I ran into the curator. I looked away, and when I turned back, a staff member came hurrying over. The main lighting in the hall had malfunctioned. I answered, "I'm on my way." I turned around sharply, and my heart jolted. The ruby had already been replaced with a fake, glittering with false light in the middle of the empty exhibition hall. At the time, I didn't think much of it. Mr. Fell was the head of the insurance company. I assumed it was a security measure. Raven crossed his arms. "No, I've never heard that Mr. Fell or the curator had any plan to protect the ruby." Then the answer is obvious. The curator didn't know. Mr. Fell was the only one who could have done all that in such a short time. He's the criminal. That makes no sense. The museum was packed. Even if he stole it, how could he have taken it out? That day, Mr. Fell was wearing a tall silk-top hat indoors. Wearing a hat inside is both conspicuous and rude, but he wore it anyway. He must have hidden the gem in it and carried it out. At the time, everyone was focused on capturing Phantom Thief Crow, so they only searched young women. He would never have been found out. Claire said, "Now do you still think my story sounds far-fetched?" Raven said nothing. A bead of sweat formed at his temple. It wasn't entirely absurd. Behind Mr. Fell's massive fortune was a suspicious insurance payout. Because the police had been unable to trace its source, they were already keeping him under surveillance. Raven pressed a hand to his forehead. The incident had seriously damaged his company's reputation. His silence about it was suspicious too. Claire let out a soft scoff through his nose. "Faced with such solid testimony, you're still hesitating?" Raven closed his eyes. "After all, we can't take action against an innocent citizen based only on a criminal's one-sided testimony. That would damage the honor of the police." Claire's lips curved up. "But if my testimony proves to be true, then you need to decide very carefully right now. Of course, words alone aren't enough." Raven opened his eyes. The atmosphere had changed. From a moment they began bargaining with testimony, he changed. If he was usually like a firecracker ready to explode, then now he was like a schemer lying in wait, slowly devouring you. Is this the true face of a gem thief? "I need to stay alert." Raven asked in a low voice, "What do you want?" Claire touched his lower lip with his fingertip. "First, I'd like you to come to my house." "Your house? Is there something there? Evidence related to the ruby?" "All right. Could you also check on my cats while you're there? We can't let my babies starve." Raven said nothing. Claire moved closer with teary eyes. The atmosphere changed again. This was the usual Claire can't. People who love cats and feed them food must be angels. Raven raised an eyebrow. "You're worried about your cats right now? Does he even understand his own situation? Or is his heart simply so big that he can stay this calm?" As expected of Phantom Thief Crow, Raven's pupils shrank slightly. Just now, I actually felt relieved. In front of the criminal, a hand knocked lightly on the door. A man's voice came from outside. "Mr. Phantom Thief Crow, are you in there? Today's interrogation slot is mine." Claire looked shocked. "What? Someone else is interrogating me too?" Raven turned toward the door. "We have a guest." "Cool mean." Claire looked at the newcomer in a white lab coat. "You're going to interrogate me?" The man grinned. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Phantom Thief Crow. I'm Dr. Ahmed Grant, head of forensic science. I came here." He leaned closer to Claire, eyes burning with excitement, "to ask about the magical secret that only Miss Phantom Thief Crow knows. To explore the mysteries of magic." A purple warning box popped up in front of Claire's eyes. Warning, Gakro is targeting you. Claire's pupils contracted. What? Gakro? The same organization from that previous alert? The alert that only appeared after my arrest. Is this a bug? I have to avoid being driven into a dead end. I can't let bugs like these distract me while dealing with Hunter. Claire clearly blocked Gakro's message on the virtual screen. The system chime rang out. Messages from Gakro have been blocked. Ahmed looked around. Good heavens, there's not even a window in here. Claire looked at Ahmed. By the way, the magical secret you're talking about. Suddenly, Ahmed became excited. He abruptly unfolded an umbrella. The canopy was badly torn. I'm curious about how this umbrella works. I'm so curious I can't sleep. How can it float in the air? My levitation umbrella is even more wrecked than the last time I saw it. What in the world did you do to it? Claire looked at him. Then I can't help you. It's demonic technology. Ahmed trembled all over. Demonic technology. Claire let out a light laugh. Are you satisfied with that answer? Raven's eyebrow twitched. I knew he wouldn't confess so easily. Don't take it out on the doctor. Take this. What's a shopping bag for? Claire explained. Miss Kent said she was bored staying with the guards. I heard you wanted some craft tools. It's the first time I've ever seen someone make that kind of request. Claire rummaged through the bag with both hands. I can't sit still. I get itchy all over. Then he pulled out a small medicine bottle. What's this? I never asked for this kind of medicine. Raven said in a low voice, it's anti-inflammatory pain medicine. It's effective for ligament injuries and muscle soreness. I guess you might have been hurt when you saved me. Raven couldn't quite explain why he had said that. It had simply come out. Claire asked, why are you suddenly being so nice to me? What kind of police officer is this considerate to a criminal? His cheeks flushed red. Thank you. Thank you for bringing the medicine. And thank you for taking care of our cats. A faint smile rose on Raven's lips. If you know that, then confess already. Stop trying tricks like bargaining or playing innocent. Claire puffed out his cheeks. That's one thing, and this is another. Besides, I didn't steal in the first place. Hunter was always so sharp-tongued. Yet inside this cold detention center, I could still feel his warmth. Raven walked out of the interrogation room. I'm leaving. Claire thought, oh no, the police are trying to manipulate me. Back in his seat, Claire rested his cheek on one hand, his face still faintly warm. Even if this is just an ill-fated bond between a cop and a thief, right now it feels strangely comforting. But this can't go on. I can't end up like this. Once you're in prison, it's hard to get out. I have to find a way to escape immediately. A system window appeared, and Claire's eyes lit up. Thank goodness, the window hasn't abandoned me. So, what's the mission? What is this? Claire's eyes widened in shock. A virtual screen unfolded before him. Emergency mission. Personally craft a prison break weapon. Prepare a secret weapon for your escape. Accept or reject. You want me to break out now? Claire scraped at a bar of soap with a spoon, focused and surprisingly skilled. He sat in the corner. A translucent blue window floated in front of him. On it were the words, item crafting. If someone saw me now, they'd probably think I'd taken up carving as a hobby. Claire got angry. This damned system interface. He threw the spoon down hard. The spoon clattered to the floor. The status window displayed something absurd. Use your own hands to craft a prison break weapon. Carve a fake pistol out of soap. Claire's eyes widened. A pistol out of soap? He raised one finger as if confirming a ridiculous order. And so, I started sculpting something I never once imagined I'd make in this lifetime. Evelyn picked up the spoon. I even had to go on a hunger strike just to get this thing. What a hassle. A trace of weariness passed over Claire's face. Even more ridiculous was that this status window was outrageous. Craft a prison break weapon with your own hands. Raven Hunter's affection for you will change, depending on whether you succeed or fail. Accept. Reject. Claire's face scrunched up in anger. What does affection have to do with a fake gun? Claire sighed. I originally thought that once Raven appeared, our relationship had already hit rock bottom. But now, could it get even worse? No, from the very beginning. How could the relationship between a phantom thief and a police officer be anything but the worst? A knock sounded at the door. Raven's voice came from outside. Miss Kent, I'm coming in. Claire's finger moved across the system window. Yes. Come in. The door opened. The iron-barred gate swung wide with a harsh screech. A pair of polished leather shoes stepped into the cell, the footsteps steady and strong. Behind Raven was a group of investigators, all dressed in dark suits. The atmosphere was solemn. The people from the Central Investigation Bureau are all here. Even Hunter came. What's happening? The superior stood with his hands behind his back, his expression grave. Miss Phantom Thief Crow, I hope you've been well. Unfortunately, we haven't had the chance to get along properly. We've decided to transfer your case to the Central Investigation Bureau. Claire whipped around. What? Transfer? How come I never heard about this? Raven didn't even look at him. Hunter didn't tell us anything. He replied coldly, of course not. Did you think I would report my entire schedule to a criminal? Claire bit his lip. In the end, Hunter and I were only ever a cop and a thief. I actually believe what he said yesterday. One idiot. Raven looked at Claire. The moment his window was shattered, I should have done something. Phantom Thief Crow is being transferred to the Central Investigation Bureau. In his memory, a man in a blue suit sat at a table flipping through documents. This is the director's authority. Push the remaining responsibility onto them. For us, it's not a bad thing either, since this involves politics. It's not easy to explain. This isn't as simple as earning merit or making up for mistakes. Raven's fingers tightened until his knuckles turned white. My case, and I myself. Raven closed his eyes. The fact that he had taken everything from me displeased him. This was the occupational disease of an old police officer handling certain criminals. I know that, but one thing has been troubling me. Raven opened his eyes, his gaze sharp. Why would he do something like that? In his memory, Claire had fallen into his arms, looking startled and shy. Why did he have such sorrowful eyes? Raven recalled the past. A younger version of himself had once been forced into things as well. Perhaps this person, like I once was, is also being forced to do bad things he doesn't want to do. Claire's image surfaced in Raven's mind. Smiling, suspicious, so many things about him suddenly made sense. Raven knitted his brows. Even if his actions aren't enough to prove his innocence, Claire is still a criminal. He shook his head hard. Stop making unreasonable assumptions. An agent's voice sounded. As previously stated, your case is now under the Central Investigation Bureau. Therefore, you will be transferred to the capital. The agent grabbed Claire's arm. Claire's body stiffened in shock. Wait, you taking me away just like that? Claire struggled. Is it because of that heart? I told you I didn't steal it. Did you investigate the man I told you about? Raven stood with his back to him. I will hand your statement over to the Central Investigation Bureau. The man turned to Raven. The evidence? Where's the evidence that proves it? Raven looked at him. I've already handed it over to forensics to Dr. Grant. He's studying it now. Tears welled in Claire's eyes. He bit his lower lip. Hunter, from now on, I'm going to become a truly wicked phantom thief. Just you wait. Claire burned with anger. Raven Hunter, you ungrateful bastard. Raising his cuffed hands, he shouted, did you forget that I saved you? Heaven never seals off every road. There is always hope. Mission 2-1, diligently unlock the handcuffs. 2, after the car stops, threaten them with a fake gun. 3, seize the Star of the Sun. 4, hijack the vehicle and escape. Easy for you to say, but this is just a game, not real life. Claire drooped in despair. What strength do I even have? I can only do what they tell me. A universal lockpick appeared in Claire's hand. It would change shape depending on the keyhole. If I unlock these too early, I'll get caught. I'll wait until the car stops to turn it. Claire looked out the window. Rain poured in sheets. But in a place like this, in weather like this, would the car even stop? Rain hammered hard against the car window in a dense barrage. An old-fashioned automobile drove alone through the storm. Suddenly, the car lurched violently. Claire's body was flung to one side, and the handcuffs snapped apart with a clear crack. The tires screeched against the slick road. It seemed the car had gotten into an accident. I accidentally unlocked the handcuffs. Now I need to find a chance to threaten them with a fake gun. One agent shouted in panic, what happened? Another answered, the tire blew. Damn it, there's a spare in the trunk, right? A trace of craftiness flashed in Claire's eyes. If they change the tire, I can hijack the car and escape. Suddenly, a blinding golden light tore through the rainy night. A car appeared out of nowhere. The agent stared in shock. What is that? It looks like it's flying straight at us, and it's unbelievably fast. Claire's pupils widened in shock. One of the agents screamed in front of us. The shriek of sudden brakes tore through the air. The deafening crash of 2 cars colliding thundered around them. The people inside cried out in terror. Claire and the 2 agents were horrified. Is that guy with them? I didn't call him here. A pair of leather shoes stepped steadily out of the car onto the rain-soaked ground. A cold voice cut through the curtain of rain. Don't move. If anyone does, I'll shoot immediately. Claire and the agents froze and looked out through the window. A masked man stood in the rain with his arm raised toward them. In his hand was a gun. He gave the order, hand over Phantom Thief Crow. The masked man raised his arm. A black chain shot out from it. What is this? Like a snake, the chain coiled around Claire and dragged him out through the car window. Claire stared at the chain in alarm. The game I transmigrated into, Eden City, is set in America in the 1900s. It was a retro age. As time passed, technology in the game world continued to develop. This had once been a beloved game for millions of players, a vast virtual world. After I came here, the world's technology kept evolving, but only to the point where low-level, superpowered people appeared. Claire looked at the masked man. Hey, calm down first. Shut up. The masked man roared. Blue electricity burst from his hand. It instantly struck one of the officers. The officer screamed in agony as the current hit him. Claire and the other officer stared uncertainly at the scene. Blue electricity crawled over the fallen officer's body. The other officer looked at him in horror and lifted his radio. We need backup. Claire's gaze turned cold. Looks like I can only play along with him for now. Rain soaked his blonde hair. His hands were behind his back. Who are you people? Why is your boss doing this? Claire's gaze moved past the masked man's shoulder. He looked toward the car behind him. The masked man's eyes turned vicious. Don't try anything, or I'll kill you. Hand over the gem. Claire's eyes widened. For that gem, you're willing to hurt innocent people? I've had enough. What is so special about this gem? Both the police and criminals are chasing it. I will end this hellish curse here. Claire raised his hand and pressed the gun barrel beneath his own chin. Back off. If I die, you'll never know where the gem is. A fanatical smile spread across Claire's face. His eyes were filled with madness. If I can just hold out until sunrise, the mission will be complete. The masked men were stunned by his actions. What? Is he insane? Claire sneered. I've played this game for 20 years. How could I be caught by small fry like this? This should buy me enough time to escape. Claire glanced sideways and thought. There isn't a hospital nearby. Looks like I'll have to go back to police headquarters first. These people never hesitate to use others as hostages. But why's my hand slipping? A system window popped up, accompanied by yet another new mission alert. The soap gun will melt in water. Damn it, it's raining. Just a little more. One masked man shouted, stop wasting time. Grab that thief now. No choice. I have to do this. Skill. Perfect throw. What is my eyes? The masked men covered their eyes and screamed in pain. There we go. Claire revealed a smug smile. How's low-grade soap feel in your eyes? Now's my chance. Claire turned and ran for the car without hesitation. The thief's getting away. Catch him. Damn it, my eyes hurt. One masked man rubbed his eyes painfully. My eyes, another roared. Forget it. Just chase him. Claire quickly got into the car. The car sped away. The masked men couldn't open their eyes from the sting and had no choice but to give up the chase. Inside GFDAC, Doyle stroked a cat. Damn it, he got away again. I can't believe it. We just let him slip away right in front of us. Chief, what do we do now? The masked man's eyes sharpened. He won't get far. We have to catch him. That direction leads to the police station. The police headquarters building stood brightly lit in the rain. That damned thief is back again. Raven and another officer walked quickly down the station corridor. Wasn't he in transit? He was attacked, and he personally brought the injured officers back himself. Their injuries are severe. If the thief hadn't brought them back, they would have died. Raven asked, where is he now? An officer answered, temporarily being held in the lounge. He'll be transferred again soon. Raven stood outside the lounge. Just listening to the report over the radio, he already had a rough idea of what had happened. He pushed open the door and entered. Claire sat in a chair, looking at him. Raven walked up to him. Why didn't you run? You knew very well that if you had abandoned those officers, you could have escaped. Then you wouldn't have to go back to prison. Claire pulled the blanket tighter around himself. Don't ask. I'm pathetic enough as it is. Raven spoke firmly. No, you're not pathetic. You simply made the right choice. Scenes flashed through his memory. Phantom Thief Crow was always calculating, while Claire Kent was always rash and impulsive. Both wanted to steal that gem, but in the end, neither could hide their true heart, because neither of them could steal by harming others. Raven turned as if to leave. He understood everything. Claire suddenly spoke up. I didn't steal the heart of the Red Queen. His eyes were utterly sincere. So that feeling I had wasn't an illusion. This has nothing to do with an investigator's objectivity, nor is it a personal wish. Perhaps that's exactly why he is the only one I want to save from a life of crime. We really are alike. When you denied stealing the heart of the Red Queen, I believe you now. Raven's intuition told him to trust Claire. Claire trembled when he heard that. His cheeks flushed. A system window popped up. Prison break mission failed. Raven's affection for you has increased. Claire stared at the pop-up. What? His affection increased? Affection increased? I never imagined his affection toward a criminal would go up. Is it because I brought back the injured officers? Police value loyalty above everything else. Yet he developed feelings for a criminal. Is an officer Hunter a little too careless? But at the time, I didn't know that the hand that warmed my cold cheek would change my world. Raven handed over a white handkerchief. Dry your hair first. Claire took the handkerchief. Raven then handed him another document. Claire looked at the form. I think you gave me the wrong paper. Raven smiled faintly. No, I checked it carefully. Raven smiled with complete confidence. Let's get married, Miss Thief. Claire froze completely, unable to believe what he had just heard. A few days earlier, in the director's office, a man sat with his fingers interlaced and brows knit together. So the thief returned to the station in order to save the guards? Raven stood before the desk, expression calm. Yes, even though he could have escaped easily. The director thought for a moment. Very well. In that case, we can trust the thief's statement. He waved his hand. Then start investigating that tycoon you've been insisting on. Raven continued, I investigated that tycoon. He seems to have a deep connection to the Red Queen star. The director warned him to be careful. He's suspicious by nature and difficult to deal with. If he learns he's a suspect, he'll sue the entire police department. After a moment of thought, the director said, there is one safest way to approach him. Raven asked, what way? The director's gaze sharpened. Infiltrate the Married Members Club, where he serves as chairman. The director picked up a file. On it was Raven's photograph. So, Hunter, you'll have to become a married man. The police once again had to take responsibility for the Phantom Thief incident. No matter what, they needed results. So Raven explained to Claire. The police had already listed the tycoon as a suspect and launched a formal investigation. Raven continued, but to carry out this operation, we need someone to play the role of my wife. So let's get married. Claire suddenly stood up, his face full of resistance. How did it turn into this? Raven looked away, his cheeks faintly warm. Don't misunderstand. I'm not proposing because I like you. This is purely a fake marriage for the investigation. Claire looked skeptical. So now you want me to cooperate with the investigation? But there isn't enough evidence for a full operation yet. Is there? My testimony alone isn't enough to mobilize the police. Raven shook his head. Rather than evidence, call it intuition. But the motive is strong. You know that Ruby belonged to the Brixton royal family, right? Claire nodded. I know. What does that have to do with that tycoon? That tycoon holds resentment toward the royal family. He is the illegitimate son of the late Mrs. Fellows and the former king of Brixton. In the past, he claimed royal blood and insisted he deserved an inheritance. He even demanded the Red Queen star, saying his mother had a letter from the king promising him that ruby. But after he lost the paternity suit, everything was ruined. Claire suddenly understood. This era doesn't have DNA testing. Being illegitimate isn't a crime in itself, but his greed extended to a national treasure. Back then, he showed an abnormal obsession with that gem. Claire asked, so even if it caused huge insurance losses, he still wanted to steal it? His hatred runs that deep? Raven concluded, sometimes some things matter more than money. In any case, thanks to you, we've identified a suspect. Raven's gaze was resolute. I'd like to propose a plea bargain. Claire slapped both hands on the table. Good. If I cooperate, I won't have to go to prison, right? Raven handed over a document. You must actively cooperate with the investigation. Claire looked at the file and beamed. Of course, this is the only way to avoid the bad ending. A perfect opportunity. Claire looked full of expectation. So what do I have to cooperate with? Doyle remained expressionless. I told you already. A fake marriage. Claire's smile froze. What? That wasn't a joke? Doyle's gaze stayed cold. Of course not. Claire suddenly backed away. Did you forget? I'm a criminal. Why would you take the risk of letting me join in undercover operation? Raven said, you're an eyewitness. You can tell real from fake, and you're an expert in jewel theft. If those skills aren't used for crime, they can be very useful. Claire sighed and reluctantly accepted. Fine, I get it. But why does my marriage partner have to be you, officer? Raven explained, the Married Members Club has extremely strict admission requirements. The couple must have a harmonious relationship, and in high society, their status, wealth, and fertility must all be outstanding. Raven said flatly, I'm the only investigator who meets those conditions, and we need someone who can keep an eye on Phantom Thief Crow. But there was no need to tell him that part. Claire asked, what do you mean? You're saying you're a police officer from high society? Why doesn't anyone know that? Raven explained, Raven Hunter is a false name. It's a nickname my parents gave me because I was smart. Claire thought to himself, I thought Raven was Evelyn's destined rival because of the Raven in his name. Curious, Claire asked, then what's your real name? Raven replied, agree to the plea bargain, and then I'll tell you. Claire ground his teeth. He's guarding it that tightly? And he's the one who suddenly proposed, even if it's fake. But I have no choice. I have to escape the bad ending. As long as I can avoid prison, I'll do anything. Claire picked up the pen and signed the document. After signing, Claire looked up expectantly. All right then, unknown fake groom. What's your real name? The corner of Raven's lips lifted. James Hunter 3. Claire stammered. What did you say? James Hunter? Raven enunciated each word. You heard me right. James Hunter III. Claire's pupils contracted. Impossible. Then you're the missing heir, James Hunter III. The name was famous. The unfortunate heir of the Hunter family. Kidnapped by the mob as a child, he had miraculously survived and returned 20 years later. After that, he lived in seclusion under a false name for 10 years. The newspapers said the Hunter family's enormous fortune was enough for him and his descendants to squander forever. Even so, he still chose to become a police officer. That man, how could he be here? Raven sat at the table with his hands clasped, expression calm. Claire sat across from him, feeling a little lost in the moldy detention room among criminals. Raven said, "There's a lot to explain. I'll tell you later." He took Claire's hand, gentle but firm. A trace of a smile flashed in Raven's eyes. "I look forward to working with you from now on, my wife. For 10 years and several months, I was trapped in this damn game. And now, this phantom thief seems to have acquired a police officer husband. Congratulations to Miss Claire Kent and Captain Raven Hunter on their marriage." Raven looked at Claire. "Can you stop calling it a fake marriage?" Claire looked unconcerned. "What difference does it make?" As for the notarization of the remaining documents, Clive picked up the thread. "The Joint Investigation Headquarters will handle it. According to the prenuptial agreement, once the case is resolved, the marriage will be dissolved. Both parties also agree not to claim each other's assets." Claire said, "Of course. As soon as I get that damned ruby back, we'll divorce immediately. Then when the operation is over, my crimes will be wiped clean too, right?" Clive gave a polished business smile. "Yes, of course. For the purposes of this operation, we've created an identity for you. Oakley States Dakota. Steel. It's inland, and hardly anyone there knows you. The romantic backstory prepared for Raven Hunter and me is as follows. Dakota Steele, the only daughter of a wealthy landowning family from the countryside. Raven Hunter was abandoned in a basket at the door of the Steele's servant couple, and the two grew up together and fell in love. But one day, Raven Hunter disappeared without saying goodbye. The Steele family went bankrupt due to drought. After losing her parents, Dakota Steele was sold to become the second wife of a rich old man. At the train station, she happened to meet the vanished Raven Hunter. So this is what they call a fated reunion with your first love." Clive spread his hands. "Please memorize all of that before departure. After all, there are a lot of things to remember before wedding." Claire's pupils shrank. "A wedding? What?" Clive's lips curved. "It will be a very grand wedding." A few hours later, at a bridal boutique, Vera Boutique. "I'm really going to have a wedding? What are those police officers thinking?" A woman with short black hair and glasses entered the room. It practically looked like black smoke was rising from Claire's head. "Hello, Miss Steele. While today's secretary prepares the dress, please review the wedding plan and the information on the target guest first." The file read, "Name, Doug Graves. Occupation, Professor of Archaeology at Eden City Imperial University. Note, former classmate of Richie Fellows, and also a founding member of the Embalast Incident Club. This man will be the stepping stone connecting Richie Fellows and the Hunter family. A servant from the Hunter household is actually giving me this information." Claire asked, "You're not really one of the Hunter family, are you?" The black-haired woman pushed up her glasses. "My name is Miranda Ross, officer and undercover operative of the Eden City Police Department." Claire asked, "So you're the watcher disguised as a secretary?" Miranda continued, "I'm also responsible for protecting you in emergencies. And our visit to the boutique this time is also meant to spread rumors of the marriage. The head designer of this shop is famous for having a loose tongue." Claire suddenly understood. "So this is part of the mission too. If that's the case, then I should get serious as well." Claire put on a sweet smile. "I'll do my best to cooperate." The Hunter family, the unfortunate heir, had finally announced his marriage. It would be an unbelievably extravagant wedding. The dress was said to be from Vera Boutique. High society had already begun buzzing with gossip, but what everyone was most curious about was one thing: just what kind of angel had rescued him from the darkness. Outside the skyscraper, reporters swarmed in. "Could you say a few words?" "Excuse me." Claire stood by the window, looking down at the commotion below. The first mission was a great success. The reporters clustered like ants. Claire lifted his teacup, puzzled. An angel? In truth, not an angel at all, but a jewel thief. Considering the prestige of the Hunter family, this level of commotion was normal. They weren't merely rich, they were the sort born with diamond spoons in their mouths. Claire stood at the window, looking down at the luxurious apartment. "After acting out the love story of the century, we'll divorce. Is it really okay? What about the Hunter family's reputation? It's too reckless." Raven, who had approached at some point, said, "You're right. At least make some noise when you come in." "That's rude." Claire jumped in surprise. Raven calmly sat down beside him. Captain Hunter and I just got off work together. Claire's pupils shrank slightly. What? Then he noticed a feather on Raven's shoulder. Wait, what's this feather? I ran into Coco on the way home. It probably fell off then. What did I just hear come out of this man's mouth? Coco. Raven answered expressionlessly. A parrot. That's right. This is definitely a thorn parrot feather, a tropical bird extremely rare in Eden City. It's also an evil material used for crafting key items. And such a rare item was just casually lying around in this man's house. Claire silently rejoiced and tucked it away first. Parrot feather has been stored in inventory. A maid entered the room. Young master, young madam, your relatives have arrived. You didn't tell me your family was coming. Future husband. Raven pressed a hand to his forehead. Why would they come without warning? Looks like even Hunter didn't know. I'll let him off this time. Raven said quietly, my relatives don't know this is a fake marriage, except for one person. So from now on, we have to act like a real married couple. A blush of color rose to James's face. Claire blinked and smiled. Don't worry, darling. We're only acting. As expected of the phantom thief Crow. He had seemed so shaken when he first heard about the marriage operation. Yet he adapted this quickly and acted so calm and natural. James glanced sideways. Don't act so unconcerned. Gemma, an elderly silver-haired woman holding a wine glass, said, my goodness, you two look more and more perfect together the longer I watch. Such a beautiful lady is about to become part of the Hunter family. With his hands clasped over his chest, he introduced her. This is Margaret Zeiss. She also goes by Maggie. Across the table, a woman with short brown hair folded her hands neatly. It's lovely to meet you. This is Frank Zeiss's eldest son and Frank's wife, Mary Zeiss. Beside them sat a blonde man. And this is Glaive Zeiss. The man raised his glass. Was he related to James? Claire asked softly, are you relatives? James replied, without changing expression, my grandfather's sister was that person's maternal grandmother. In other words, we're basically strangers. Maggie sighed in admiration. I heard your love story. Miss Steele was by James's side when he was going through hard time. That truly comforts me. James answered calmly. I feel lucky to have met Gemma again as well. Even though this was all just a script from the Central Investigation Bureau. Mary and Glaive whispered to each other. Claire's gaze sharpened. Why are they whispering when everyone is gathered together? Skill activated. 2 of the $7 million. I thought they might be hiding some huge secret because of the Hunter family's background. Maybe he was just ashamed to admit he came from servant's line. But even his own family doesn't know the Hunter's true origins. Claire froze. A key truth took shape in his mind. A truth even he, the phantom thief, had never touched before. Suddenly, James grabbed Claire's hand. Startled, Claire thought, darling, why are you suddenly grabbing my hand? You scare me. James showed the faintest smile. I thought Decoder was about to run away. What? Claire's cheeks reddened. Did he notice I used my skill? His instincts are terrifying. Maggie looked deeply pleased. Oh my, James keeps looking at his fiancée and can't bear to let go for even a second. Glaive muttered, he's a policeman through and through. Other than arresting criminals, he probably doesn't know how to approach a girl. Claire forced a stiff smile. Stop joking around. Help me out here, you bastard. In the end, James held onto my left hand the entire time. Even after everyone had left, he didn't relax his grip at all. Claire stood by the door. He pushed it open to leave, then stopped again. Maybe it's just my imagination, but for some reason, the way he looks at me now feels different from during the escort incident. Claire leaned against the door, heart racing. Mrs. Doris, holding a pipe, said, Mrs. Hunter, so you're here. I just came out for some air. You've worked hard. Not all. They're quite entertaining. Claire covered his mouth and laughed. You all really do look like one family. You're positively glowing. Mrs. Doris raised the pipe to her lips. Not everything that glitters is a diamond. Wait, that was a line associated with the Phantom Thief Crow. Could Mrs. Hunter know my real identity? Claire's pupils contracted sharply. Mission list updated. New mission, catch the mole. With a soft chime, a system window popped up. New action, capture the mole. Claire stared at the scene before him. Maybe because the mission was literally called the mole, but suddenly everything began to feel wrong. The Zeiss family didn't just seem close-knit. They also acted extremely comfortable in front of Mrs. Hunter. And yet, not one of them had taken the initiative to greet James Hunter. Claire scanned the crowd. What exactly is this family hiding? A group sat chatting on the sofa, the mood lively and harmonious. Glaive smiled and said, time flies, doesn't it? The target has finally come back. Claire watched them. When a mission alert suddenly appeared, he nearly jumped out of his skin. steal Glaive Zeiss's notebook and hand it directly to Doris Hunter. Theft suited me just fine. He'd been moving around constantly. He must have added more notes to it. A brown notebook stuck halfway out of Glaive's pocket. Claire's eyes lit up at once. James rose from the sofa. I think it's time for us to call it a night. Claire panicked. What? No, I haven't gotten the notebook yet. Claire immediately stood up. Wait, it's such a shame to part like this. Let's play a game. The man looked at him with interest. That sounds fun. Since when was the Zeiss family this cooperative? The man curved his lips. Then I propose a game too. How about the newlywed shoe game? A new mission window popped up before Claire. Score at least 15 points in shoe game. Reward, 5,000 notoriety points and increased mission rank. Failure, kiss James Hunter. Claire clutched his hair with both hands. What kind of system is this? Has it gone insane? Issuing that kind of penalty? The shoe game. Each person takes off one shoe and sits back to back. Each holds one of their own shoes and one of the others. After hearing a question, they raise the shoe matching the answer. If both raise the same shoe, they score. If they raise different shoes, they get no point. Claire's gaze turned determined. No matter what, I have to win. I started out full of confidence. The man rested his chin on his hand. Oh dear. Wrong again. Can I really pull this off? They sat back to back, barefoot on the floor. Who cooks better? Who would win in an argument? The early questions were laughably simple, but Mrs. Hunter rested her chin on her hand with a smile hiding blades. Instead of asking such boring questions, why not ask this? Who confessed first? Whenever a difficult question came up, Claire's mind went blank. Only now did he understand why the Zeiss family had proposed this game. They want to see whether our stories match. The merciless countdown began. 1, 2, who? Who confessed first? Claire panicked. James's voice sounded from behind him. Decoder. He raised Claire's shoe. Claire's pupils shrank. 3. Claire and James raised their shoes at the same time. Their answers matched. I see. As long as our answers match, that's enough. Claire secretly preened. But why was I the one who confessed first? Next time I'll definitely beat him to it. Mrs. Hunter laughed softly. Then who kissed first? James's voice sounded again. Claire's cheeks instantly flared red. No way. I'll let him have that one. And now you're doing this again? You should be the one kissing me. James's eyes widened slightly. What? Maggie looked delighted. Oh, really? You two never stop, do you? Claire blushed furiously. It's a misunderstanding. After that, he tried his best to dodge the embarrassing questions, but in the end, the side quest failed. Penalty activated. Kiss James. Hunter. Claire sank to his knees. A dark aura of doom seemed to surround him. What a miserable ending. At least the failure notice had already appeared, and there were no further instructions yet. Who knows? Maybe once the main quest is complete, the penalty will disappear. Claire walked down a corridor in Hunter Tower. Glaive sat at the end, drinking non-stop. The shoe game had ended, and Glaive had drunkenly collapsed onto the table. He'd really had too much to drink. Naturally, the drinking session had begun. Claire suggested a finger game where whoever got picked had to reveal a secret. Everyone was enthusiastic. Claire deftly steered the penalties toward the men. Drunk and swaying, Glaive stood up and said he needed the restroom. Claire quietly followed. Everything was going according to plan. Finally, a chance to be alone with him. I have to finish the mission before he sobers up. Supporting the staggering Glaive, Claire asked, "Are you all right? Need any help?" Glaive narrowed his eyes at him. "Oh, it's you, the woman who was flirting with James earlier." Claire's cheeks heated up. "Since when was I?" Glaive grinned. "Watching you act is pathetic." Claire's pupils tightened. "What did you say?" "It's all an act." Glaive's voice was icy. "Impossible. He's already figured me out." A system window popped up. Skill activated. Sleep mode. The target will sleep for 1 minute. Glaive collapsed onto the sofa, letting out faint snores. Claire stared at him. What secret are they hiding to be this wary of James Hunter? Hunter, whatever it is, the Phantom Thief Crow will expose it. Quietly, he slipped the brown notebook out of Glaive's pocket. Claire's fingers brushed over the pages, packed with dense handwriting. The system chimed. "You have obtained Glaive's notebook." Written inside were lines like, "Doris's dementia is no longer useful. Should I continue pushing? James's shameful past. Sympathy might backfire. Decoder is the easiest of the 3 to exploit. Maybe he can be used." So this was the source of all the vicious rumors surrounding the Hunter family. But why would Glaive do something like this? Claire lowered his head and kept reading, frowning. "This isn't even my family's problem. Why am I bothering with this?" Claire shook his head hard, troubled. "But my conscience won't let me pretend I don't know." He'll use me soon enough. And what if James misunderstands and thinks I'm involved? Claire's pupils contracted. James's cold face appeared in his mind. I was a fool to trust you. Claire pressed a hand to his chest. Nausea rose in his stomach. He looked baffled, fingers still against his heart. Anyway, the day Hunter fully trusts me will never come. Our relationship is a transaction from the start. Once the objective is achieved, it will end. I just need to finish the remaining tasks. A blue light flashed. The system chimed. Bonus reward. Doris Hunter's favorability has increased. What? Her favorability increased? I gave her a notebook like that. How could her favorability go up? Claire pressed a hand to his forehead, utterly puzzled. The system windows have been acting strangely lately, always mentioning equipment and favorability. The next morning, Glaive's voice sounded from outside the door in Hunter Tower. Doris, can we talk? Doris, wearing a long blue dress, folded her arms. Glaive, what brings you here so early in the morning? Glaive rubbed the back of his neck, looking sheepish. Doris, I'm ashamed to say it, but I lost an important notebook yesterday. I didn't want to come for no reason. I drank too much last night and blacked out, and then I realized the notebook was gone. It scared me, so I came right away. I wanted to ask, have you seen a brown notebook? Doris tapped a finger against her chin. A brown notebook? I haven't seen one. She waved her hand. Since you lost it here, search wherever you like. I hope you find it. Glaive lit up. Really? Thank you, Doris. Once he had permission, the Zeiss family's attendants began searching everywhere. Not here, not there either. Standing on the balcony, Glaive shouted to the servants in the courtyard. Look more carefully. Doris really seemed not to know anything. If she had seen what was inside the notebook, she would never be reacting like this. So the notebook really didn't fall into the Hunter family's hands? A maid stepped forward. Councilman Zeiss. The maid carried the notebook over, holding up the brown notebook. She asked, is this it? This morning I saw a cat carrying it in and hiding it under a cushion. For security reasons. I didn't open it. Glaive was overjoyed. I finally found it. Thank goodness nobody looked at it. Glaive straightened and scolded the maid. If you'd brought it sooner, we wouldn't have had to go to all this trouble. I'll let slide this time. The maid lowered her head. I'll be more careful. The sitting room was empty. Doris's notebook lay quietly on the table. Mrs. Doris, the thieving cat has completed its mission. Doris's voice sounded. Indeed, consider it your reward for all your hard work. A ginger cat purred contentedly in the butler's arms. Doris's voice continued. This is your reward for helping me deceive a deceiver. Standing by the window, Doris watched Glaive's departing figure. The moment he found the notebook, he relaxed in relief. Keep letting your guard down. Glaive. Doris's hand brushed over a stack of photographs. The photos showed page after page of Glaive's notebook after it had been opened and recorded. She picked up a close-up showing the notebook's brown cover. The next one to be trapped will be you. A cold smile curled on Doris's lips. A woman who doesn't even trust the police, ended up borrowing a thief's power. If you live long enough, you really do see everything. There had been a knock at her door the previous night. A voice called, Mrs. Hunter, may I come in? Claire stood outside the door. Miss Steele. What is it? Claire bowed slightly. I'm sorry to bother you so late, but I wasn't sure what to do with this. Today I saw a notebook in Glaive's pocket, so I took it. I thought I should return it to him right away, but James was already asleep, so I brought it to you. Could you take a look? Doris took the notebook and opened it. Her pupils shrank abruptly. Her voice turned grave. If anyone asks about this notebook, say you've never seen it. Claire stood there and watched it all. Notebook? What are you talking about? I've never seen any such thing. A brilliant smile spread across Claire's face, an innocent, harmless smile. He could so easily prepare an escape route for himself. Impressive. Doris's eyes sharpened. It's rare to see a young person like him. I need to watch him more closely. After the notebook incident, Mrs. Doris kept finding excuses to call for me. It seemed she had seen through my true nature from the start, so I couldn't even be bothered pretending to be quiet and pure anymore. Claire's footsteps echoed down the corridor. Is she calling me in too often? Claire pushed the door open. Mrs. Hunter, did you send for me? Need a card partner again? Doris held out a box. Cards were nice, but that's not why I called you today. Open it. It's yours. Claire took the box. Mean it? Claire opened it, eyes widening. Inside was an aquamarine necklace made by a world-famous designer, along with a pair of rose-shaped earrings. This jewelry suited the status of the future Mrs. Hunter. The corner of Doris's mouth lifted. You don't like it? Claire lowered his eyes. My feelings don't matter. I'm just surprised. This wasn't what I expected. The Hunter family's emerald necklace had been passed down for generations. A family heirloom like that couldn't be given to a thief. Doris stared at Claire. You're the only outsider who knows about that necklace. Doris smiled faintly. I wasn't mistaken, was I? You, Decoder, the phantom thief. Even if you use that face blindness skill to hide your identity, there is no such thing as an eternal secret. Claire lowered his eyes, so she finally found out. Then he looked up again, a relieved smile spreading across his face. Honestly, I am relieved. If I had accepted the emerald necklace, I might have turned myself and out of guilt. Doris lifted a hand. You better put that idea away first. Though this was a little different for what she had expected, Claire's smile only brightened. Sorry for deceiving all of you, but I don't have to do that anymore. Doris folded her arms. That's wonderful. Actually, I want to hire you. As you can see, this family background of mine is giving me a headache. Claire looked bewildered. Hire me? But I'm a criminal. Doris's gaze was firm. That doesn't matter. I know you're more than just a thief. She made a suggestion to Claire. Once you're free again, how do you plan to make a living? If I were you, I'd take the chance to work hard and earn money. Claire nodded. That's true. So what exactly do you want me to do? A will from 10 years ago. A setup left behind the year James disappeared. It states that if James Hunter cannot be found, Glaive Zeiss will inherit the family as the foster heir. He always believed he would inherit the Hunter family, but now the true heir has returned. The inheritance that should have gone to the Zeiss family has vanished into thin air. Hearing that, I began to understand Glaive's smear campaign. Was this fake marriage also part of his plan to tarnish James? James would probably think so too, but the Zeiss family is already wealthy. Did Glaive really need to go this far? Of course. Frank's goal is to become mayor of Eden City, a position money alone can't buy. The Zeiss family is noble and prestigious too, but their influence in this city is far below the Hunters. He wants to use the Hunter family's connections and reputation to become mayor with ease. The mayoral election is 1 year away. So far, he's only applied indirect pressure through the media, but from now on, he may take more aggressive measures. Investigate every member of the Zeiss family. The more detailed, the better. That's what I want. Claire asked, is Margaret also a target of the investigation? Doris smiled, reassured. No, she is utterly loyal to the Hunter family, more steadfast than anyone. Doris's gaze softened. If not for Margaret, I wouldn't have survived those hard years. After losing my son and daughter-in-law and witnessing the betrayal of relatives with my own eyes, how much longer could I have held on? Claire thought. Doris still chose to trust the people she loved, even in the middle of hardship. I want to protect that sincerity too. Claire said, all right, Mrs. Hunter. I accept your request to investigate the Zeiss family. Doris looked up. One more thing. Claire looked puzzled. What else? Doris lowered her eyes. From now on, don't call me Mrs. Hunter. Call me Doris. Claire froze. Strange. She was asking me to investigate her own blood relatives, yet she looked more relaxed and happier than ever before. The corner of Claire's mouth lifted. What a demanding woman. A bright smile bloomed across Claire's face, his cheeks flushing warmly. In a soft voice, he called Doris. The system chimed. New mission, Hunter and Prey. All right, I accept the commission to investigate the Zeiss family. Doris. James stood at a desk, flipping through the file in his hands. This is the evaluation report from Miranda and Light. Let's take a look. James lowered his gaze and reviewed the report. They don't look like a married couple at all. Their accounts of the past contradict each other. Watching them is like watching puppets perform. James's verdict was blunt. It's full of holes. His superior folded his hands, expression stern. I heard you improvised in front of your relatives, but you can't keep muddling through like that every time. The club's screening is famous for being strict. Any tiny inconsistency will get you rejected immediately. James looked resolute. I'll solve it before the wedding. His superior slapped 2 train tickets onto the desk. If you need time, I can arrange it. Starting tomorrow, you're going on a 3-day trip. The next time I see you, I want you and Gemma Steele to look like a real married couple. The train rumbled across an iron bridge. Claire and James sat side by side, their hands tightly clasped. We're too close. My hand feels like it's about to explode. A trip I had looked forward to for years had turned into a mission with 2 chaperones watching us. Ernest smiled. So this is Mr. Hunter's fiancée. You two look wonderful together. He was the target of this mission. James thought, the goal of this trip is to make sure my secretary doesn't realize we're pretending. This is the director's test. We absolutely cannot fail. But is this method really? Claire felt a chill run through him. His palms began to sweat. Too close. He quietly shifted 10 centimeters away. Miranda immediately wrote something down on her clipboard. Too obvious. James tightened his grip on Claire's hand. Don't move. Leaning close to his ear, he whispered, do you want to fail again? but we're too close. Claire screamed internally. He felt like the mission might trigger at any second. His cheeks reddened as he forced out a smile. There's nowhere to run. Claire's thoughts were a complete mess, but he pretended to stay calm. Darling, I'm sleepy. Wake me when we arrive. Claire rested his head on James's shoulder. 8 more hours. If I pretend to sleep, the system won't interfere. But why is his shoulder like a rock? It's broad, sure, but way too hard to use as a pillow for long. The train announcement sounded. Next stop, Oakley City Center Station. Claire jerked awake. What did I actually fall asleep? He felt something against his cheek. A handkerchief. Why? Ernest cleared his throat. We're almost there. You should get ready. Claire looked at the two of them. Why are they smiling? James's voice came from beside him. Sleep well? With a smile, he added, even when my fiancée drools, she's adorable. Claire's face burned scarlet. Drooled? I actually fell asleep and drooled? Someone erased this memory. The liner docked at a brilliantly lit harbor. Ernest stood in front of James and Claire. For the sake of your private date, Miranda and I will head to the hotel first. James replied, all right, we'll be there soon. You two get some rest too. Ernest and Miranda turned and left. Finally, only the two of us were left. James let go of Claire's hand. Now that nobody's watching, should we take them off? Claire raised a brow. My God, take off what? The corner of Claire's mouth curled mischievously. Surely not my clothes? What a tease. James's face stiffened. What are you talking about? I meant the gloves. The person who kept complaining about the heat earlier is saying this now? So this is revenge for the drooling incident. Claire leaned toward James with an innocent look. Why are you blushing? James turned his face away. His cheeks felt hot. James turned around. Some people enjoy teasing the one they like. Just like Decoder, Miss Steele. The liner moved across the water. Claire turned back and looked at him. So you really do like me. You wiped my drool, mocked me for it, carried my luggage, pretended your shoulder hurt, enjoyed my embarrassment, and still acted like a gentleman the whole time. Claire looked up and met James's eyes. You like me, don't you? James's cheeks flushed. What are you talking about? Claire gave him a playful wink. How does it feel to get turned around on? Did you think I'd be too embarrassed to tease you again? James stopped short, then gave a faint, wry smile. You're right. I almost forgot. You are the infamous Phantom Thief Crow. Since you've remembered, hurry up and take me to the next location. Claire's eyes sparkled, his smile radiant. Sea wind stirred his long hair as he and James strolled along the harbor toward the next mission site. A cruise ship. Claire's steps were light. It's been so long since I was on one. The salty sea breeze brushed his face and tugged at his skirt, lifting his mood with it. Claire touched the long hair the wind had mussed and gazed into the distance. Kind of think of it. I wonder how that person is doing now. James stood behind him, silently watching his back. It had been an accident called a chance encounter. Not long after I possessed this body, the cruise ship I boarded collided with a smuggling vessel and eventually sank. If I hadn't met that person then, I might have died there. James's voice came from behind him. Decoder, what are you doing? Claire turned back to look at him, just imagining what would happen if this ship sank. James came to stand beside him. The life jackets are over there. The lifeboats are that way. After a pause, he added, but you don't need to worry. There are no smugglers here and no smuggling ships. Claire stared at him, then leaned back against the ship's railing. Is that because you're a policeman? You're always considering every possible scenario. James frowned. It's dangerous to lean like that. Unless you're planning to jump, then don't do it. If I fell into the sea, you wouldn't just catch me. You'd have to pull me back out too, right? Claire closed his eyes and felt the sea wind. I can't swim. James's eyes widened a fraction. Let's hope we never get a chance to test that. Let's go inside first. He held out his hand. It was an invitation. Claire took James's outstretched hand, fingertips brushing his. If I fall in, will you save me? James tightened his grip. Of course. You're my beloved partner. Claire closed his eyes, smiling brightly. Good. The ship's jazz bar served fine food and drink, and the atmosphere was romantic. And the person beside me was my husband. James raised his wine glass. The bouquet was elegant. Claire's cheeks pinked slightly. That does have a certain charm. Leaning forward, he asked, so how should we describe our first kiss? James thought for a moment. I have a good idea. Want to hear it? When you were 15, you called out to me beneath the fig tree. And then you. That gave the hesitant younger me a chance, and I finally gathered the courage to kiss you. Decoder. A faint smile touched James's lips, his gaze gentle. The jazz band played softly on stage. Claire pressed on. But tell me, Chief Superintendent, have you really kissed someone before? James corrected him. Call me James. How long do you plan to keep calling me Chief Superintendent? Claire smiled and gave in. All right, James. So what's your answer? James looked him straight in the eye. I have. Claire's smile froze. What? Didn't you say you've never dated anyone? What a terrible man. James leaned forward. What about you? Claire lowered his eyes. Of course I have. With a man they called the Mad Dog of Hell. Under the moonlight, Khaled kissed him. Back then I was trapped in the game, dazed and half lucid. I leaned on him without even realizing it. I almost died then and barely knew what I was doing. I haven't heard any news about him lately either. Did he disappear? Claire shook his head sharply. Why am I thinking about that? Change the subject now. He pointed at the food on James's plate. Why aren't you eating that? It's delicious. James answered expressionlessly. I don't like octopus. Claire wouldn't let it go. Why? Does it bring back bad memories? James's expression darkened, his thoughts sinking into the deep sea. A huge shadow of tentacles loomed over him. He snapped back to himself. No, I just don't like it. Claire leaned closer. Really? James looked away. Claire felt thoughtful, eyes flickering as if he had remembered something. Claire's expression dimmed. He remembered the orphanage, a caretaker who treated wasting food as a sin. One day a sponsor had sent over a huge pile of cucumbers, and the caretaker forced them to eat them, even the rotten ones. Young Claire had said timidly, "Teacher, these seem spoiled." The caretaker had barked back, "Be grateful and eat them." Claire swallowed the awful cucumbers with tears in his eyes. He knew that if he spat them out, he'd only be forced to eat them again. From that day on, even the taste of cucumber made him want to vomit. James was silent for a moment, then asked softly, "Do you remember that teacher's name?" His gaze had turned cold. He intended to make that person pay. Claire answered slowly, "He's no longer in this world. Or rather, not in this game world." After the director found out he was abusing the children, he was fired quickly. The director was a good person. Claire's memories stretched on. Actually, most people at the orphanage were kind. Our lives weren't much different from children who had parents, except that no one could give us unconditional love. Claire's back looked lonely. Why am I saying all this? Maybe I'm drunk. James answered, "The answer is simple. You just need to find someone who will love you unconditionally." Claire gave a bitter laugh. Easy for you to say. In that sense, I'm a little jealous of you, James. You already have someone who loves you unconditionally, don't you? James's face remained calm. You mean my grandmother? Claire sensed something strange. Why did he react like that? He remembered Doris's warning to Claire. "Gemma, don't tell James anything about the Zeiss family. I don't want him worrying for nothing." Claire suddenly understood. Mrs. Doris did indeed love her grandson dearly, but that love was not unconditional. She kept a cautious distance from James, as though she owed him some kind of debt. Claire said, "It feels like things between you and Mrs. Doris are a little distant." James replied lightly, "We've been apart for 20 years. That's normal." But Claire's thoughts didn't stop there. It feels like more than that, like something unresolved is hanging between them. Looking at the man across the table, he asked, "Does she disapprove of you becoming a policeman?" James fell silent. Claire bared his teeth in a grin. "Silence means yes. Still, I think you were born to be a policeman." James lifted his glass to hide his expression. "Do I really seem that way?" Claire's gaze sharpened. "You personally arrested me, the phantom thief. No wonder the criminals call you the hellhound. But seriously, what kind of life were you living before you joined the force to understand criminals so well?" James drank in silence, then asked in return, "Why are you so curious about my past today?" Claire blinked. "What?" James stood up. "Let's go." He turned and walked away, leaving Claire confused. Did I say something wrong? James's retreating back was resolute. Claire watched him leave. What exactly was in his past? After that, an awkwardness hung between us until the trip ended. Maybe he was worried that I was digging into his past, while I was distracted by the nearly forgotten punishment. The mood at the table turned heavy. The director's mission to deepen our relationship had failed completely. Ernest quietly asked Claire what happened between the two of them. Claire's expression turned grim, looking at Miranda's face. "This report is doomed too." A gunshot split the night air. Claire's expression changed at once. Gunfire? James leapt to his feet. The sound came from the cargo hold and engine room direction. Another shot rang out. One passenger was hit and collapsed. Another passenger came running out with a gun in hand. "Everyone, call the police quickly." "Oh God, Jackson, what's wrong? Have you been shot?" Blood streamed down the passenger's arm as he trembled and said, "Armed robbers broke in." Another gunshot. Screams erupted all around. Claire stared in horror. What the hell? Even I've never been through a disaster like this. The gunfire sounded again. The crowd screamed and scattered. "Help!" Claire's pupils contracted, sweat running down his cheek. What am I supposed to do in a situation like this? He looked toward James. He had already vanished into the chaos. The carriage was ripped apart by screams and gunfire. A masked robber raised his rifle at the back of a train attendant. "If you don't want to die, stop the train right now." Before the robber could finish, a pistol pressed into his back. "That's our line. James appeared behind the robber, eyes sharp. Police, drop your weapon. The robber's pupils shrank. How is there a cop in here? He immediately swung his gun toward James. My men clearly blocked the route. How'd he get in? He looked at the robbers already lying on the floor. Did this guy take them all out by himself? The robber dragged the attendant backward. Damn it, come any closer and I'll shoot. The attendant cried out. James's gaze darkened. Using a hostage. Despicable. I can't act recklessly. I need to wait for an opening. James fixed his gaze on the robber, searching for a flaw. Move aside. A female voice rang out. Claire rushed forward holding an electric stun gun, currents crackling around him. He shoved James aside. James stumbled, shocked, and turned back. Claire aimed the stun gun at the robber, blue arcs flashing at the muzzle. James's eyes widened. Gemma, how are you here? Wrapped in energy, Claire sprang into the air and kicked the robber squarely in the face. He landed lightly as the current dispersed from his hand. The robber convulsed at his feet and collapsed. I came to help, of course. James rushed over. Are you insane? Do you know where this is? Didn't I tell you to stay in the dining car? Officer Miranda, have you forgotten your duty? Miranda answered, I was watching him the whole time. That one was never going to sit still. I should have known better than to let him come along. Claire looked at James smugly. Even with you around, you can't guarantee everything will be perfectly safe, can you? James rubbed his temples, a splitting headache coming on. He glared at Claire. What do you think you are? A cat with 9 lives. Were you planning to take out the entire gang by yourself too? James's eyes swept over him. Then he froze. Wait, you've already taken them all down? He saw the heap of unconscious robbers at Claire's feet. Claire folded his arms, looking pleased with himself. Anyway, thanks to me, you got your chance to move. James was speechless for a moment, then looked away. Were you worried about me? Claire lifted his eyes to him. And if I was, is that not allowed? James's cheeks flushed. He cleared his throat. Fine, since you helped me, I'll let it go this time. But why are you carrying a weapon from the transport car preview case? Claire raised the stun gun self-righteously. Call it compensation. I confiscated it. James held out his hand. Confiscation is my job. Hand it over. Claire turned his head away with a huff. James looked at his back. This woman is infuriating. 1 second, she makes you grateful. The next, she makes your blood boil. James looked around. Come to think of it, where did Ernest go? Claire was puzzled too. Wasn't he right behind me just now? Ernest was curled up on the sofa, hugging his knees and trembling. Where did everyone go? And so our healing train journey turned into a killing journey. Attempted, at least. Now all we had to do was wait for the director's report. Claire lay on the sofa with a newspaper covering his face. He looked completely adapted by now. The headline on the front page of the in-law household paper read boldly, Phantom Thief Crow versus the Hellhound. Who is superior? Claire pulled the newspaper down, full of disdain. What a childish headline. And they just had to put me on the same level as him. Hellhound. 10 years ago, I met that thief for the first time. He came from Eden's slums. Locals called the place hell. His ferocity earned him that nickname. A silver-haired boy pointed a gun at a red-haired girl. Hey kid, if you want to live, do what I say. My hair was redder than strawberries. He stayed by my side for a long time, but after saying that, I never saw him again. I waited there for years, and he never came back. I never even got to tell him my name. Why did he disappear? No, he can't be dead. Why can't I forget a man who vanished without a trace? James walked in. Claire asked, why are you here? Did Ernest realize we're not a real couple? Claire wore an understanding expression. I knew you'd mess it up. No, Officer Miranda gave us a passing grade. Claire looked up sharply. What? He let us pass? A smile touched James's lips. He held a file in his hand. The rehearsal is over. Yes, the real show is just beginning. The guests whispered among themselves. The groom really does look like the late Mr. and Mrs. Hunter's son. If he'd shown up earlier, those rumors would have vanished long ago. I heard that while he was missing, he worked as a farmer on the bride's estate. It must be hard adjusting to life in the Hunter family. Go ahead, talk all you want, you gossipy snakes. Claire sat in the room. The wedding dress spread all over the floor. All right, let's begin. Bride, please enter. Okay. Claire lifted the hem of his skirt and stepped forward. The bride is entering. Claire, dressed in a pure white wedding gown and holding a bouquet, walked slowly forward through dazzling light. A trace of sly amusement flashed through Claire's eyes. He's really acting the part. He's completely captivated by the bride. James's glasses served as a good disguise. The guests probably wouldn't recognize him. His eyes really did change his whole aura. Claire's cheeks flushed as he looked at James. He swore he'd catch me no matter what, and in the end he replaced handcuffs with a wedding ring. James took Claire's hand and slid the ring onto his finger. Gazing at him, he said, I swear to love you, respect you, and cherish you until death parts us. A smile touched Claire's lips. What a beautiful chapter of lies that vow is. Before the priest, the two exchanged rings, a fake wedding, but a real trap. Groom, you may now kiss the bride. Akish. Claire's pupils contracted. We agreed we'd skip this part. James froze too. Claire stared at James in panic. A system prompt exploded in his head. Penalty mission. Kiss James Hunter. Failure will result in confiscation of all parrot items. Thorn feather has a high risk of exposure. Time limit, 1 minute. Claire screamed silently inside. Bastard. Issuing the penalty mission during the wedding? This is a direct train to a bad ending. No matter what, I have to do it. Claire steeled himself and yanked James by the collar. James was pulled in close. Decoder. Claire rose onto his toes and leaned close to James's ear. So don't blame me too much. If I end up on the bad route, you'll be in trouble too, James. Aren't we already in the same boat? Then he pressed a kiss to James's lips. James's body went rigid, lips parting slightly, his eyes full of shock. Claire cupped James's face and gave him a gentle kiss. Unexpectedly, the penalty ended. His lips felt the same as that man's. Claire's cheeks reddened. Does kissing always feel the same no matter who it is? Even I'm confused after initiating it. How can he be so calm? Their gazes met. James cleared his throat. Why did you suddenly kiss me back? So Mr. Hunter was shaken too. Claire averted his eyes, so the crowd wouldn't start a riot. It was just an accident during the mission. James looked incredulous. An accident during the mission? I didn't know you were so dedicated. James spoke in an even tone. I hope you'll show the same dedication on the next mission. Claire forced a smile. Of course. Naturally. Is he mocking me? One irritating man. Claire glared at James's back. Idiot. How could I ever think he resembled Mr. Kyle? The dance portion ended. A brief recess began. The ballroom was crowded with people moving about. The fake couple began searching for their target. Claire locked onto the target, Professor Doug Graves. He walked over quickly, covering his mouth with both hands. Claire looked at Graves excitedly. Professor Graves? I'm your devoted admirer. Holding a wine glass, Graves turned around in confusion. You know me? James stepped forward and placed a hand at Claire's waist. Professor, my wife Gemma has always wanted to meet you. James added, I heard you used to be Mr. Hunter's classmate. Gemma is very excited. Graves introduced, this is my wife, Jimena. Claire said, thank you for inviting us. It's truly an honor. They looked like an affectionate married couple. That certainly met the club's requirements. A healthy marital relationship. Graves pushed up his glasses. How did the new Mrs. Hunter become a fan of mine? Claire smiled. My father was very interested in archaeology. Our house was piled with related books. This was, of course, a complete lie. Claire said excitedly, I read the story about how you formed a friendship with the natives, and it moved me to tears. After that, I started looking up your other research. Judging by how smoothly he answered, he must have read the books I gave him. Claire looked at him expectantly. So I was wondering, could I hear you tell that story in person? Graves looked flattered. Of course. I'd be delighted to tell it to such an enthusiastic fan. Graves suggested, then perhaps we should arrange another time. James looked at Claire. He finished the mission that quickly. He really does have a natural gift for winning people over. Graves Maíz. Then I'll send out a formal invitation soon. A system alert rang out. Claire's pupils contracted. Is this business a new mission? Emergency mission. Objective. Stop Doris Hunter from drinking the champagne in her glass. Reward. The nanny's umbrella. Punishment. Hunter in prey. Mission failed. I have to stop her from drinking that champagne. If a mission like this suddenly appears, something must be about to happen. Claire quickly looked around for the target. A woman was already walking toward Mrs. Hunter. Mrs. Hunter is in danger. Claire suddenly rushed out. James stared at her in shock. Doris was just reaching for the glass. Don't drink it. Claire slapped the glass away. Champagne spilled all over the floor. Mrs. Hunter, Claire, what are you doing? Claire looked flustered. You can't drink that. There's something in the champagne. Everyone's expression darkened. Doris demanded, there's something in it? What do you mean? Thinking fast, Claire blurted out, there was an eyelash in it. Doris's eyes turned sharp. Such a ridiculous excuse. She must be after something else. Doris ordered, then bring me a fresh glass of champagne. Claire froze. Then I'll go get one right away. James strode over and grabbed Claire by the wrist. Claire, why did you run over here by yourself? Damn, I was so focused on the mission that I forgot all about James. James turned to Doris. I'd like to speak with Claire alone. Please go entertain the guests first. Doris chuckled. James, I always thought you were made of wood. I know you don't want to be away from your bride for even a moment, but do be patient. James's cheeks reddened slightly. Understood. Luckily, Doris understood my signal. I told her the secret about the champagne. Mary had drugged the wine. We decided to find out what the drug was, then use it on Glaive himself. A waiter called out, he's inside. Claire, disguised as a server, carried a tray of champagne. Master of Disguise activated. The result was exactly as expected. Glaive laughed loudly. I heard Councilman Marks secretly went to another country. What do you think? Surprising, isn't it? Another man looked annoyed. Glaive, do you realize how many times you've said that already? Glaive looked blank. When did I say it again? The man beside him muttered, I think Mr. Zeiss is drunk. He just asked where he was a moment ago. Glaive waved dismissively. There's no way I got drunk off a single cocktail. Don't be ridiculous. Listen, let me tell you about Councilman Jackson. His companion cut him off. The one who should shut up is you. You told that story 5 minutes ago. Glaive looked utterly confused. What? Why don't I remember any of that at all? The others exchanged glances. Judging by his reaction, he's not joking. One of them wiped the corner of his mouth and said, Please wait a moment, Mrs. Hunter. Glaive stood up. Wait, Glaive. Glaive stared at his own trousers in horror. My God, how did this happen? When did I do that? The surrounding guests broke into whispers. Oh my God, what happened to him? Glaive stammered in panic. And no, this is all a misunderstanding. Glaive's son hurried toward the center of the commotion. From a distance, Doris watched everything in silence. So this is how I might have ended up. Doris looked at Glaive's miserable state. The drug Mary used caused symptoms similar to dementia. Mary's plan was to make Doris behave like a dementia patient in front of everyone, so she could stand by and let the rumor spread. Such a vicious scheme. It served him right to be humiliated in public. Claire drank the champagne. Emergency mission complete. Obtained the nanny's umbrella. After midnight, the party quietly came to an end. Back at Hunter Tower, the bustle of the party vanished, as if it had never existed. Waiting for me was a bridal chamber carefully arranged by the maids. No matter how much we had to play the part of newlyweds, I never thought James would actually pounce on me. But what is this man doing now? James pinned Claire down on the bed, his body pressed close to hers. Claire's heart raced. He bent down, closer and closer. So what exactly is this man doing right now? James leaned in, his breath brushing the side of Claire's neck. Claire's whole body tensed. Does he really intend to spend our wedding night together? No, this isn't right. James's lips nearly touched her ear. Hand over the umbrella while I'm still asking nicely. Claire's breathing stopped at once. The umbrella? Is he talking about the one I got as a reward? Why bring up the thing I worked so hard to get while pinning me down like this? Claire met his gaze. What nonsense are you talking in the middle of the night? James looked down at her. At the wedding today, a nanny lost her umbrella, and I saw you carrying one I'd never seen before. His eyes sharpened. If you didn't steal it, explain. Claire was startled inside. That was the reward I earned fair and square for completing the mission. Damn system. Why give me something stolen from someone else? I guess I have to play dumb. Claire smiled sweetly. Don't try to frame me. From now on, whenever someone loses an umbrella, are you going to accuse me of stealing it? James said nothing. With a metallic click, handcuffs snapped around Claire's wrist. What is this? Who brings handcuffs to bed? The metal was cold against her skin. James's voice stayed flat. This isn't an arrest, but I'm not taking them off until you hand over the umbrella. Claire only smiled more brightly. And if I never give it back? The corner of James's mouth lifted. Then you'll have to stay tied to me for the rest of your life. The atmosphere between them instantly turned strange. Claire couldn't stand it. Sulking, she handed over the umbrella. Here, take it. A wise choice. James accepted it. I'll keep it safe and return it to its owner. And just like that, my umbrella was taken away. The matter of my precious mission reward was settled. Now go to sleep. Claire clenched her fists. My husband really says one thing and does another. How am I supposed to sleep with you pressed up against me? James closed his eyes. You've slept in worse places than this. Good night, Mrs. Hunter. Claire ground her teeth in fury. If this isn't an arrest, then what is? She and James were linked by the handcuffs. I knew the wedding night wouldn't be sweet, but I didn't expect the soundtrack to be the clinking of handcuffs. Claire lay beside James, still forced to share a bed with this infuriating man. Just wait, James Hunter. Meanwhile, Glaive Zeiss was entangled in an even uglier scandal. A newspaper headline blazed across the front page. Exclusive report. Mayor Frank Zeiss's disgraceful behavior at the party. The article listed one offense after another. Frank's recent violent conduct has shocked everyone. His behavior can no longer be considered normal. The paper continued. Anonymous sources keep coming forward. He behaves like someone suffering from dementia. After yesterday's disturbance, people have now begun debating whether he is truly fit to serve as the mayor of Eden City. Glaive crushed the newspaper in fury. This is absurd. Just because of what happened one day ago, they dare question the mayor's qualifications. He crumpled the paper viciously. If everything had gone according to plan, the one rumored to have dementia should have been Doris. Glaive thought back. Mary said the drug glass must have been taken away and thrown out by Claire. Did she see through my plan and switch the glasses? If she managed to make me drink that glass, if that woman really is Claire Kent, then it's entirely possible. He remembered Claire Kent's smile and burned with rage. Zeiss, you selfish bastard. You're only telling me now that their marriage is fake. He picked up the phone receiver. I'd better deal with this before it causes trouble later. He dialed. Hello, Zeiss. You should go meet that woman. The wedding banquet was over. Rumors of Frank's dementia had started to spread. Doris and I had succeeded. So next we should do this. Claire's head began to droop with sleep. Doris's voice reached her. Claire, are you listening? Are you nodding off? Claire jolted awake. I haven't been sleeping well at night lately. Doris crossed her arms. What exactly have you been doing at night? Why are you so sleepy during the day? Claire laughed awkwardly. Well, I can't exactly say it's because your grandson brought handcuffs to bed and kept me awake all night, can I? This is the perfect chance to ask. Claire abruptly changed tack. It's nothing serious, just something we talked about on our last trip. He seemed a little unhappy. Doris pressed. James Hunter? What did you talk about? Claire explained. As chief investigator, James Hunter is exceptionally capable. He always sees right through what I'm thinking. So, asked what he did before becoming a police officer and how he came to understand criminal psychology so well. Doris sat upright, a small bird perched on her shoulder. In a grave voice, she said, Claire never asked James Hunter about his past. His past is a wound. If he keeps tearing it open himself, it will never heal. A flicker passed through Claire's eyes. So I'm not the only one sensitive about the past. Could it be trauma related to the kidnapping case? But if the trauma were really that serious, could James Hunter still have become a police officer? Something feels off. But I'm not really his daughter-in-law. It would be rude to pry further. Claire lowered her head. I'll be careful. Doris patted her hand. Thank you, child. From behind the slightly open door, James's gaze fell on the two of them. They're together again. I've been seeing them like this a lot lately. What are they discussing so seriously? Doris spoke again. By the way, Glaive Zeiss contacted me. He wants to meet both of us. Claire froze. Zeiss? Doris guessed he's probably trying to test our relationship. It may be because of what happened at the wedding banquet. He may also have heard about Glaive's notebook. He tried to drug me and make me seem senile, but he ended up taking it himself. No wonder he's panicking. Dementia drug? James's pupils shrank. What on earth are they talking about? James's voice suddenly rang out. Claire jumped. James, when did he get here? He walked over. It sounds like the two of you have been joining forces for some dangerous operation. Claire hurriedly waved her hands. That's. Doris set down her teacup. Enough. You've kept the bride long enough. Her eyes turned cold. Let's talk in private. Within the Hunter family, the ticking time bomb finally seemed ready to explode today. Sunlight flooded the room through the window. James spoke with a trace of reproach. I had no idea they'd been spreading malicious rumors about you all this time. And now they even wanted to drug you. Doris merely said, that's why. Why didn't you tell me earlier about the Zeiss family's scheme? Doris lifted her pipe. I did it so you could focus on being a good police officer. James looked away. It's not that I intended to ignore family matters. From now on, I'll pay closer attention. Doris cut him off. That's not what I meant. James, if things were going to turn out like this, you might as well have killed me that day. After saying something like that, how could I still ask him to fulfill his responsibilities as head of the family? Claire gently stroked Doyle's hair. But how could you hide family matters from me? Evelyn may still betray us. She's not that kind of person. You've sensed it too, haven't you? Trust my instincts. James Hunter. James's expression turned complicated. Instincts? Doris lowered her hand. This is my battle. You go focus on your own career. James watched her retreating figure. I'm a member of the Hunter family, yet she says this is her battle. Is she really planning to draw the line and bear everything alone? In the end, grandmother still doesn't recognize me as the true heir. How pathetic I am. Ever since Doris and I were caught deceiving him during that mission, James had started distancing himself from me. He became unusually cold. As James Hunter and I drifted farther apart, an unexpected person suddenly approached me. Clive walked over with a faint smile. Well, this is a first. Clive is actually looking for me, and me alone. Claire looked puzzled. Why did you call me here? Investigation reports should be handled by James Hunter. Clive's mouth curled up slightly. I didn't call you here to hear a report. Look at him now, acting all lofty. Clive's eyes were sharp. Would she really join forces with Doris to drug my father? Phantom Thief Crow can change faces at any time, and no one can remember that face. Slipping someone a glass of champagne without being noticed would be child's play. Clive leaned back in his chair. I wanted to talk to you. Listening to an agent's worries is part of my job too. The Hunters are a little unusual. He gave her a gentle smile. You're not having any trouble, are you? Claire thought, just as I expected. He wants to investigate the Hunter family through me. But Doris and I already prepared for this. A smile tugged at Claire's lips. Then let's begin. Claire suddenly leaned closer to Clive. Of course I'm having trouble, especially with that old lady. The old lady? She knows my identity is fake, but she pretends not to. I knew the way she looked at me was off, so it was because I'm a thief. Clive's expression grew complicated. There are eyes watching me everywhere in that house. Claire tipped her head back and sighed. I hope you understand my pain. I just want this all to end as soon as possible. Anyone could see she didn't get along with the Hunters. Clive analyzed. She must have a long-standing grudge. It seems she's not on Doris's side. Clive tapped his fingertip lightly. Hearing her complain like that, she has no guard up around me at all. Clive's gaze darkened. Since she's not Doris's dog, maybe she can become mine. In fact, the Central Investigation Bureau had been secretly investigating the Hunter family for years for signs of collusion with criminal organizations. Folding his arms, Clive said, "At this rate, you may get dragged into another arrest." A calculating glint flashed in his eyes. "So how about joining hands with me?" Claire leaned back. "Why would I do that? I just want a quiet life." In other words, she couldn't be bothered. Clive offered terms. "As long as you become my informant, even if the undercover operation fails, I'll pardon you. Of course, there will also be compensation." Compensation too? Looks like I'll have to play along. Claire immediately straightened up. "Since you insist, I really can't refuse. I accept." The moment money came up, she agreed right away. She's refreshingly straightforward. A spy who can be bought with money isn't trustworthy. But if a verbal agreement alone lets me summon the world-famous Phantom Thief Crow, Clive smiled, "then I'll be relying on you. Being a double agent is such a hassle, but I can't miss the chance to get revenge on him." He actually pointed a gun at me. The image of Clive raising a gun flashed through her mind. "Just wait, Clive Zeiss. I'll show you what a real setup looks like. Please take care of me as well." Claire smiled sweetly. Hunter and prey. Become a double agent. Mission complete. Gather intelligence on Clive Zeiss. The next day, the atmosphere was still awkward. James Hunter and I received a married couple. They were the key to entering the married club, the Graveses. Claire gestured politely. "Please have a seat." Mr. and Mrs. Graves sat down side by side. Graves adjusted his glasses. "It's an honor to be invited to Hunter Tower." James stopped Claire and put on an intimate air. "Make yourselves comfortable. After all, you agreed to my wife's request." Claire folded her hands together. "You promised to tell us what happened on Chiba Island." Chiba was famous as the subject of Professor Graves' expertise, a tropical island civilization. 5 hours from Eden City, it had once flourished, but now had vanished into the river of history. James looked toward Professor Graves. "When I was excavating ruins there, I almost died because of the locals' hostility." Mrs. Graves touched her lips lightly. "Oh, really? I never would have imagined." James adjusted his glasses. "I may not be as passionate as Claire, but I'm also quite interested in ancient civilizations and archaeological excavation. When we were children on the farm, we loved pretending to be archaeologists. We treated the cornfield like a jungle and dug in the backyard, claiming we were excavating ancient ruins." James looked at Claire. Claire was adorable back then, too. She always had a bit of an adventurous streak. Claire lowered her eyes. "He keeps avoiding me, yet his acting is flawless." Claire lowered her gaze. "He even prepared a backstory for us. Am I the only one overthinking things?" She suddenly snapped back to herself. "No, this is a mission. I can't let my feelings interfere. The goal is to enter the club. I have to focus." Professor Graves looked at James. "If you inherited your father's adventurous spirit, then you must be a born adventurer as well. Before going to Chiba Island, why not first visit a real archaeological site and do some digging?" As expected, it's still too early to join the club right now. James looked at Claire. "It would be our honor. We'd be delighted to join." Claire's lips curved upward. "We've set another date." Today's mission was more than accomplished. Mrs. Graves studied Claire. "I thought she was just an arrogant rich girl, but these unexpected sides of her." Smiling, she said, "How interesting. I'd like to see more." The mysterious Mrs. Hunter had appeared out of nowhere. A faint cold smile tugged at her lips. "I hope you won't disappoint me." Several days later, under the blinding sun of Vista Canyon, ancient ruins stretched out before them. Being invited by the professor and his wife to the site was all very well, but Claire drove a small shovel hard into the cracked earth. "We weren't here to handle artifacts. We were just digging dirt nonstop. At this rate, I feel like I'm going to dig my own grave first." The blazing sun was roasting my brain. Claire's steps staggered. "Just worrying about the Hunters is enough to keep me busy. And now I have to play double agent too. Not a single day of peace." Clive had heard some strange rumor from somewhere and issued an absurd order. "I heard Mrs. Doris Hunter takes some kind of medicine. Go steal it for me. Since it came up as a mission, I had no choice but to make it for him. A system window popped up. Create Genius Potion and deliver it to Clive's ice. Claire looked aghast. He wants me to disguise Genius Potion as Doris's medicine and hand it over to him? That ridiculous potion? Genius Potion. James's cheeks were faintly flushed. He looked at Claire. You've been digging very hard. You really are an archaeology fanatic, Claire. If you're tired, take a break. Claire turned her head toward him. James. Ever since he found out about Doris's affairs, he'd spoken only when necessary. I thought he was disappointed in me. Is he actually worried about me? Claire's cheeks warmed. You look even hotter than I do. Go rest in the tent for a while. James handed her an ice cream. I'm fine here. Have some ice cream. Ice cream? And iced water too? Is this James's way of making peace? It's clumsy, but I'll accept it. Claire took the ice cream. Thank you. I'll enjoy it. Two researchers whispered in the distance. I heard he used to serve his wife as if he belonged to her family. I thought that couple was completely wrapped up in their own little world, but they seem to take care of other people too. They were digging at rocks, but chatting away enthusiastically. Let's hear what they're saying. Claire's lips lifted. Skill activated. $7 million. Part 2. A man who loves only one woman his whole life? Isn't that just a dog? To me, he looks more like a black vulture. Then what about her? A fox or a parrot? A female researcher cut in. No, I just saw her climb up from the canyon. She was agile and wild. She looked like a monkey. Claire was struck dumb. What? Are they talking about me and James? Is comparing people to animals their idea of fun? The female researcher turned around. Anyway, they pass in my book. Go talk to Mr. Feller. I don't know the details, but it looks like today's digging wasn't for nothing. Our story will be passed on to the wealthy Mr. Feller. At last, James and I have passed the test for the Married Couples Club, but the satisfaction of completing the mission didn't last long. There was no word at all from the Graveses. I had expected as much, but the silence was still discouraging. And why hasn't Clive contacted me either? It's already been 2 months since I handed over the Genius Potion. James set down his knife and fork and lightly tapped the table. There's something I need to tell all of you. By special order from the commissioner, I've been assigned to investigate a new drug case. Claire looked up. A new drug case? James's expression was grave. Yes, it was first identified 6 weeks ago. James continued. They say that after taking it, it feels as though you've sold your soul to the devil. That's why people call it the devil's elixir. Claire asked, what does it do? James's gaze sharpened. It clears the mind. It improves concentration, memory, and comprehension. It lets you compress 10 hours of work into one. In simple terms, it can turn you into a genius. The effects are powerful, but they only last 6 hours. So users have to keep buying it. That's why it spread so quickly among the rich. Claire, clench your hands. This new drug he's talking about sounds exactly like the Genius Potion I made. Claire turned pale. Her pupils shrank. Her whole body went cold. Doris looked at her. From Claire's expression, Doris had also realized there was a red potion with effects exactly the same as Genius Potion. James added, just to be safe, even if someone offers you a red potion, you must never accept it. Claire drew a deep breath. James, there's something I need to tell you. I'm the one who made that potion. James froze. What? I confessed everything. James pressed a hand to his forehead, his temples throbbing. You made Genius Potion and gave it to Clive? The source of the case I'm investigating was in my own house all along. Claire sprang to her feet. Wait, we're not the masterminds. I didn't give it to him so he could copy it and sell it illegally. Doris hurried to defend her. That's right. James, if I give someone a lighter and they use it to commit arson, does that make me an accomplice too? Besides, the Hunter family fights crime. How could we possibly have imagined Clive would sell the potion illegally? James spoke calmly. Strictly speaking, Genius Potion isn't a narcotic. It has no side effects and no addictive properties. People are simply obsessed with it because the effect is too strong. Of course, Clive couldn't have known that. Claire dug her nails into her palm. If that bastard had managed the potion I gave him properly, things never would have turned out like this. A righteous thief being treated like a real criminal. I won't forgive you. Clive. Claire stood and walked over to James. James, don't focus only on the negative. Now that we know how the case began, we just have to find the middleman, right? James sighed. That's true, but Claire's eyes were steady. I'll help with the investigation too. Hunter and Prey mission activated. Track down the mastermind behind the illegal drug. A new item will be provided. Because it's a drug case, I got a new item. Item obtained. Target marking spray XC. A colorful spray can appeared. Claire frowned. Why would they give me something like this? Wait, something's wrong. There's no mission guide. Don't investigation missions usually come with step-by-step instructions, so I can complete them in stages? No mission guide? Wouldn't that make it like searching for a needle in a haystack? Claire suddenly had a flash of insight. Wait, a needle. The corners of her lips lifted slightly. I found a way to complete the mission.